Hello, everybody. I am Blue. I am currently joined by Red.
What's up?
And Cyan.
Hello.
And our very special guest, Tim from Hello Future Me.
Hello.
Thank you for being on the show. Very sorry for the delay here. I should have tested this out a little bit more beforehand, but Horizon Zero Dawn would not cooperate with me at all. So, we're in Spider-Man, and we're going to play around here for a little bit. We are on day 5 of our OSP Spring Break stream for charity. Trying to help with a charity called Feeding America, which is trying to connect kids around America with food banks when their schools get canceled and 2 of the meals that they rely on are now kind of up in the air, or if their parents are out of work and they need to get some food from another means. Feeding America is a great charity that does a lot of work to help kids all around this country, especially in a time like now where kids are out of school, parents are out of work. It's rough. So if you have any change that you can spare, $5, $50, $30. Apparently we lost all audio. Oh, curses. And I died.
All audio.
Oh shit.
This is just the beauty of.
I don't know if I
is
just
so
lost
cursed.
audio or if everyone else.
No,
lost
okay,
audio.
we jumped back and then I died. Okay, we're in. We are in, but I'm dead.
No, no. It was
they
just
say
me
there's
that
an
lost
echo.
Audio. Don't worry about
There's
it.
an echo.
I'm
Wait,
working on it.
is it possible that you have the mic and the Discord audio up at the same time? I think you're not supposed to do that.
Maybe. For Mike, you might want to drag that down.
I just did.
Chat, let us know if that's any better. I'm so sorry, everybody. This turned into such a giant mess. We just wanted to play some Horizon Zero Dawn because it's one of Tim's favorite games. Oh,
This
geez.
makes me feel bad.
No, because Horizon Zero Dawn is so good, and it's such an amazing game. I just wish that it would cooperate with me, because what happened was I was like, I want to load this game, and it's like, no, you have the wrong version installed. It won't load. And I'm like, but
It's
what
okay.
if I install? It's like, no, it'll take 5 hours. I'm
We'll
like,
do.
We'll make it work.
We'll do another stream sometime
We'll
of
just-
Horizon Zero Dawn.
We'll just have to have you back on the show. What a tragedy.
The
They
show.
do say the game audio's a little loud again.
Game audio is a little loud. I
I'm working on it.
can fix
Sorry,
that
Ryan.
a little bit on my end as well. Let's go to settings. Master volume. Let's just cut that bad boy in half.
Reports are coming from Sty Village.
Hell yeah.
Okay. No.
Wait, am I? No, never mind. $26,000. Wow, that's insane.
Pretty dope.
Okay. Nobody have any audio-related emergencies for the next minute. I'll be right back.
Oh, balls.
Is Cyan your tech genius?
Yes, she's the one keeping this whole operation together.
Right.
Alright, let me just see how the chat's doing.
I think playing on ultimate difficulty may have been a mistake. I'm gonna have to adjust this down in a second. Geez.
Who
guess it
is
sounds-
your favorite hero?
Oh, when I was younger, it was easily Batman. But then,
As like every young boy.
yeah, exactly. And then
The
as
basic bitch answer.
as I've grown older and have become deprived of good Batman media, basically after Batman Beyond, there's been a terrible drought.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's been good. Captain America has just been so good in the MCU throughout that whole stretch.
Yeah, that's weird. He's like the most like on the face of it, he's pretty damn boring. But like somehow they just
Yeah.
did him. I mean, like, I don't know. I find his character in the second film just really interesting.
Oh, it's so good. The Russos did a fantastic job on just like, what if we took Captain America, this boring Boy Scout, and turned it into a spy thriller? It's like, yes, this is perfect. Should have led with this.
Yep.
So good.
Well, my favorite hero is Nightcrawler, because he's my boy,
Oh, that's
and I'm
right.
so mad that all of the fucking movies did him so dirty. He's only
he that-
good in the cartoons and the comics. He wasn't, like, I mean,
Was he that bad in
they kind of just,
the trilogy?
well, they kind of just made him a MacGuffin in X2, and then I don't even think he's really in the first time they did Dark Phoenix. And then they made him, like, when he showed up young, it was like, all right, that's promising. But here's the problem with Nightcrawler, all right? Teleportation is the most busted-ass power for
Oh,
choreographing
God,
fights.
so OP.
So all
Yeah.
of the writers are like, we gotta incapacitate Nightcrawler somehow. And this is actually at its worst in the cartoon X-Men Evolution, which I really liked when I was younger, because every time there's a fight, the first thing they do is they like KO Nightcrawler so that the answer isn't just, quick, Kurt, teleport us all through that wall so we can get out of here. And then they just like, sometimes they even forget to incapacitate him. It's just like, oh no, we're trapped. If only one of us could break the laws of reality. And then in the movies, they're like, oh no, Nightcrawler, his teleportation would be so...
Just going through the teams and just be like,
Hold on.
Like the rest of us. Martin.
is it actually based on New York? Like, is this what New York looks
Okay.
like?
Yeah, so we'll
Just
actually be
reaching
able
out.
to,
Mostly.
to show it in a little bit once we get daylight and we can actually see what's happening.
How long will you be away?
But this is a pretty good representation of New York.
Okay,
Obviously
we're
things
back.
are like stretched and squashed. Okay, cool, we're back. Sorry guys, stream died a little bit. Trying to download this Horizon Zero Dawn update file is putting a little bit of extra.
Actually, you're on a different Wi-Fi than.
Oh really?
Zero.
Okay,
Yeah,
never mind. In that case, I'm just a liar.
You switched. That's why.
Gotcha.
is the audio still
I
okay?
better get
They
busy.
said Blue sounded kind of like a robot, so I'm worried you might be going through the wrong mic.
Mr. Lee's
I sound kind of like a ouch. Sorry, static electricity just zapped me through my headphones.
I think you're okay on this.
Okay.
Oh, we're still not getting the stream.
Oh.
Though it's still delayed here.
Oops.
Hello?
No, they cut off my rant about
I did.
Nightcrawler.
Oh.
Robbie must
Oh, no, we're good.
Okay, are we good?
The most important content.
We're good?
Red,
Yeah!
please resume
Who
your
doesn't want to
Nightcrawler
hear my
rant.
thoughts about obscure X-Men?
Wow.
Oh god,
Wait,
I like
isn't
him. He's
Osborn's
cool,
campaign rally this
and the
af-
writers keep doing him dirty.
Oh,
And then they
I
killed him, but
see
then
what
they
you're
were like, ah shit, how do we fix this?
Yeah, we
So
all
he
do.
teleported back out of heaven. That's not a joke.
I unironically like
Back.
the
It just sounds
X-Men
like I'm
more
like
than the
Yeah, of
MCU,
hacking on a
so.
computer.
See you then.
I mean, I feel like the X-Men movies are less ashamed to be superhero movies.
I think you're right there, but also, like, I don't know, they just feel less formulaic. Like,
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
even when you take something like First Class, which is basically a new origin story, it doesn't feel like the origin stories of the MCU. And then there's things like Days
Yeah.
of Future Past, which, while not a fantastic film, is at least different. You know,
Yeah. The X-Men movies take more risks. Whether or not they
That's
produce
true.
good movies is kind of random, but
also it has my
And, like-
favorite one, which is Logan.
So
So,
humiliating.
I know.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Logan is
Boring.
fantastic.
I should head out into the city.
Oh,
It's such
so
a well-constructed
depressing.
movie. It's so telling that the movie still works really well if you watch it in black and white, just because the direction and the shot composition, the lighting, and everything is all just so damn good. Ah.
That's such a
I have-
specific experience. Have you done that?
Well, no, I watched a video essay about it one time, so now I'm kind of an expert on this thing. But-
I have a very small thing to gush about with Logan specifically, which is the way it so brilliantly creates nostalgia out of things you weren't expecting to be nostalgic about.
Yeah.
And there's two moments that do that. And one of them is, I think it's the bit where like Logan is like wearing glasses to read something because he's getting all old and shit, and somebody like comments something and and he like looks over and he cocks the eyebrow, which is like the expression he was doing 24/7 in the original trilogy. So it was like, oh my god, he's doing the Logan face. And then the other bit, again, it's oh my god, he's doing the thing, is when he like juices himself with like that super overdose of the mutant boosting juice.
Yes.
And you just hear that roar. Because, you know, the way he yells, the way he yells is actually kind of, like, unique. It's sort of like it doesn't modulate very much. It doesn't even build that much. It's not like the standard Dragon Ball rising pitch yell. It's just kind of like just this roar of anger. And he does it all the time in the original movies, but he hasn't done it this movie because he's mostly spending that movie getting the shit kicked out of him. And then you just hear it echoing over the mountains and you're like, oh my god, he's back! And then he just starts ripping dudes apart. So, that movie leverages auditory nostalgia in a very clever way, and I don't know. I wasn't expecting it to hit me so hard, and then I was like, oh, it's him! So, you know, that's a good
No,
sign.
no, I know what you mean. Like, to me, Logan, it falls into the trope. There's like this very specific trope that I love. I just have a weakness for games and stories like it, which is usually older parental type figure takes younger child-like figure, and they have to escape, usually across the border. And there's so many games and films that do that. And I just don't know why. I just like it. It's like it's great. The Last of Us does it, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done to great effect in God of War, which have we talked about God of War recently? I feel like I'm getting some deja vu. Tim, have we talked about God of War recently?
No, I don't think so. We haven't done much work on it. No, no.
Okay. Well, we got to do that at some point.
Yeah, at some point.
Right now, I've got the map.
I believe
up.
zero punctuation. Oh.
Oh no, Red, go ahead.
Oh, I believe zero punctuation refers to that as the genre of serious hairy dad games.
Yeah, no, accurate.
That's true.
While the stream had kind of
Yeah.
cut out, Tim was asking how accurate of a New York this is, and to do a little bit of a tour. This is actually a pretty decent representation of New York. Obviously, about half of the map is Midtown, where all the skyscrapers are, and the entire north of Central Park part of the city is completely squished into oblivion. But
Oh, come on.
you've got a lot of things in the right places, even if their proportions are a little bit wonky. Like you got
Right.
Washington Square Park is in the right place. You have kind of Broadway down here. You've got the
Kind of like
financial
how
district.
Horizon Zero Dawn is like apparently like Utah and Montana or something.
Yes,
I don't know.
it's like it's Horizon
No
Zero Dawn. I
way.
think it's like it's 50% of Yellowstone National Park, and then like stretching out into some other things. But yeah, there's a
Oh my
lot of
God.
stuff that's like really specifically in like demonstrably just that's the ruins of like this really important like Western United States football stadium, and it's like, wait, what the heck? And if you're like from there, you'll recognize it, but otherwise it's just this big ruined football stadium. But there's a lot of like real stuff in there, in addition to a lot of the famous natural landmarks that you'll see in kind of the west around the the Black Hills and the Rockies and all that. So Horizon Zero Dawn is a wild example of taking a real world
Osborne.
setting
You know what?
and
Never mind.
kind of slopping it onto a video game. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I doesn't like it. Clearly didn't hit that note for me because I'm like, I don't know any of those places. But I get to like, oh, that's the highway from around my town, and so, I guess.
We need more
Oh,
video
man.
games that take place on the southern island of New Zealand.
I'll tell you
Honestly-
what, a Spider-Man game in my city would be terrible because my city had an earthquake about 10 years ago. And fundamentally, we
no.
lost all of our big buildings. So the tallest building in my city is
Now I
like
feel
we've got
really
like
bad for
one.
laughing.
Oh no.
We have like one which was actually like relatively tall, but then most buildings wouldn't be 2 or 3 stories. That's like the highest. So you've got a Spider-Man game where you can only swing from 2 to 3 story buildings.
Nuts.
See, I feel like
There's something very fun about your like a place you're familiar with being represented in fiction and like played with. Like there's a lot of urban fantasy set in New York that does that. Although I did have a very weird bit of like what? Because I went to college in Chicago, and the Dresden Files books are set in Chicago.
Right.
But Jim Butcher has never been to Chicago, and you can really
yes, one of
tell.
those.
oh boy.
Because he'll talk about like, oh yes, I went to the seedy north side, and I was like, no, sorry.
Try again, sweetie.
Yeah, one more time, buddy. I think you'll get it the next time.
Yeah.
See, it would just be really funny to see, like, if there was a Spider-Man set in Boston, it would be hysterical. Because there
Fallout
are. Yeah, fair. I was gonna say, there are some tall buildings, but they're very sparse, so you'd be like
Yeah.
on top of this really high building, you'd try to swing somewhere else, and you just fall.
Famously in Boston, there are 2 tall buildings, and you use them to navigate based on where you see them in the skyline. You can tell exactly where you are in
Oh,
the
yeah.
city just by the 2 tall buildings that we have.
That's how I got through college, was just navigating by the 3 buildings I was able to see at any given time.
Right. See, we have that because we have a set of we have mountains on our west side, and then hills and the beach on our east side of our city, and that's how we use to navigate. We have a TV tower in the hills, which depending on where you are, you can tell where you are in the city.
Nice.
Find,
Yeah, what are you looking for?
Oh, there it is. I'm trying to find Madison Square Garden, which it's not even square. Like developers, what
Oh,
the
it's
hell
round.
are you doing? It's round. Easy mistake. I can't. It's they talk about polish in video games, but this is just inexcusable.
I mean, it's not even green, like...
It's not a garden.
Okay,
Where are the plants?
but listen, you guys are joking, but the last time I was in New York visiting a high school friend who had moved there, he was like, guys, now that we're out and about, let's go check out Madison Square Garden. I've always wanted to see it. And we were like, sure, let's go. And we walked over, and he was very disappointed that it wasn't a garden,
Well,
and it was round.
The first time, well, not the first time, Blue, when you went down with me to New York one time, we were walking around and we just happened to, like, wander past the Empire State Building, and a friend of yours
Wait,
was
what?
like, oh, hey, look, that's the Empire State Building. You're like, huh.
I was because I didn't. If you don't,
It's just like, yeah, if
if
you're
you
not
don't
looking
look
for it,
up,
it's just
you
right
won't
there.
recognize that it's there. So the Empire State Building, one of the tallest buildings in New York, can kind of sneak up on you, which is really annoying. And I was very upset to have been caught unawares by one of the tallest buildings in the city and in the country.
Other
don't be that
Green
upset.
wants you to check in on her family living in the city, please.
Okay,
I'm just
cool.
really surprised,
Let's
you
go
know.
up to our friends. Oh no! Oh, tea! Uh-oh, shit!
Again?
Spilled tea. Be right back.
God damn it, guys.
I'm
Well,
sorry.
Okay, in the meantime, I can talk about in New York. The Empire State Building is one of the tallest buildings, but New York has a lot of very narrow streets and a lot of tall buildings.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I think
most
we were
New
just trying to
Yorkers,
get bubble tea.
That's
Yeah.
right. We wanted to go to Koreatown for
Well-
bubble tea.
yeah. But most New Yorkers don't look up all that much because there's nothing up there but buildings, and there's buildings all the time. So the Empire State Building.
So far up.
There to crane your neck to see it.
Yeah, so the Empire State Building is one of the tallest buildings in New York, and it is pretty unique, but it's also just like right in the middle of Midtown, and Midtown, like, it's nice, but it's crowded. It's
Yeah.
got a lot of pretty cheap hotels by New York standards, you know, like, I've stayed in Midtown, and, like, the hotels will be like, view of the Empire State Building, and they mean if you get a window on the side that's facing the Empire State Building, you can see that it's there. And it's really not that majestic compared to, like, the fact that New York's real majesty comes in the fact that it's just so much all the time.
Yeah, it's like, do you want a thing? The thing is here, I swear.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why
Does it
pick out
have-
an individual building to think is cool when the whole city is basically one big unit of just stuff?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. This in New Zealand, like, we have one of everything, but there's no variety of anything. It's like, and we have no big city. Our biggest city is 1 million people, and that's
That's
big.
the perfect size for a city, if you ask me.
Like,
Enough
that
for
is
things to be
that's
there,
a-
but like not New York levels of big and gross.
That's like a big city to me, and it's very crowded to me. So I would not fare well in these other cities.
I will say, one of my favorite experiences that's kind of unique to New York. Wait, oh wow, that's kind of hard to say. Is if you go to Central Park at dusk, you can get lost
stabbed.
so easily. Well, no, you won't get stabbed. Listen, if you want to get stabbed in New York, Central Park is not the place to do it, okay? Just walk around with your phone out. That's the easiest way. But,
walking down the street,
Yeah.
just like, you're in my way!
yeah, but honestly, okay, I have other
welcome
stories
you.
about that. But yeah, Central Park, it's like, it's deceptively big. Like, New York is kind of small land-wise, but Central Park is actually like 3-4 miles long or something like that. And it's very easy to underestimate it because you look on the map and you're like, these blocks are tiny, they're all bite-sized, it's not a problem. And then it's like, no, it's a problem. And the other thing they don't tell you is Central Park isn't well lit. It's actually kind of a natural area. There's like statues and like a couple museums in there, but it's mostly just like big old glacial rocks and trees and walking paths. And if you're out there at dusk, it gets really dark. And then you're like, okay, I want to find a way out of here. But all the paths are like these natural curvy walking trails, and you
Yeah.
can see skyscrapers in every direction, and you can't find your way out. It's like the most liminal space I've ever been in. It's honestly
Yeah.
so cool if you don't get
Is
stabbed.
it always packed with people? Like,
No, actually. New York, well,
really?
yeah,
Depends
okay.
on, like, what time of day, like, you know.
It also
if it's a
depends on
really
your
nice
definition.
day- Yeah.
Yeah. And it depends on your definition of packed with people.
Yeah, like, on a really
well, I mean,
nice
like-
Saturday, there's gonna be, like, you know, a lot of people out around, like, lunchtime and stuff like that, but, you know, you go in the evening, you go on a slightly less than nice day, like where it's a little too cool, then you can get a really nice walk in. And if you go early enough, there's not usually that many people there.
Real quick, while we're here, for those of you who've seen the Avengers movie, you might recognize this is the scene where the final battle takes place, because this is Grand Central,
right.
and that is the MetLife building, on top of which is built Avengers Tower. So in this game, Avengers Tower is way the heck further north in the city, but little bits like this is like, yeah, you know, if you're from New York, you will, or if you've seen the Avengers, like, you'll absolutely recognize like little slices like this. So the city obviously isn't one-to-one, but it's really damn good.
Yeah, no, clearly. I mean, they'll put like a lot more effort into sort of those signature areas because no one's going to be like, "What? This back alleyway doesn't look like this."
Yeah, exactly. And
Oh,
that's what
some people will. Trust me. Trust me,
yeah.
the New Yorkers will complain. Where's my favorite bodega, damn it?
That's one of the things I was
What's a
talking about when I was
bodega?
doing my. Good question. What is a bodega?
It's just like a
little
corner store. It's like the place where you go
Yeah,
and
just
get
like
like
the-
a sandwich.
Yeah, but like, why is it called that?
It's a bodega. That's what,
What?
it is.
You're
Okay.
judging? Fine, I'll look up the etymology. Twist my arm, why don't you?
Because like in my mind, bodega and pagoda occupy the exact
No.
same space, and I cannot distinguish them.
No. A bodega, it's like you go there, you get your sandwich, you can get like a bag of chips. If you just need like milk, it's like it's
Okay,
just a
okay.
bodega.
It's a dairy. Is it a dairy?
Bodega is a Spanish word. It means cellar or warehouse. So it basically just means place where you get shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's just a place where you get stuff. You just go there and
Things are moving in
you
on
don't
Fisk's
when you just like it's like the corner store. I don't know.
Okay, gotcha.
It's a
It's like a
dairy
corner
by the
store.
looks of it.
Maybe.
A corner dairy.
Yeah.
Oh, let's eat this guy.
That's where-
Hey, cool. Love doing that.
Ah! Oh god. But yeah, New York is really interesting, and this game did a really good job, not just modeling the buildings, but kind of getting the vibe across.
Well, where everyone just gets really angry at each other.
Honestly,
Kinda.
you know what? That's the New York stereotype. No. I won't have you misrepresent New York like this. New Yorkers are extremely blunt. I think the thing is, people who aren't from New York or haven't spent much time there don't understand what New York politeness is. In New York, everyone is trying to get somewhere fast. So politeness is letting them get somewhere fast or helping them get somewhere fast.
You also have to, like,
Which means
there's always so many just random people in New York who have no idea where they're going. So like you'll just be like trying to walk down the street, and then someone's just gonna stop in front of you and be like, "Wait, is this Fifth?" Or and
Yep.
you just like, "Please stop standing in the middle of the sidewalk. People are trying to get where they're going."
exactly.
Yeah, so that's exactly what Red's talking about.
Yeah. See, that's New York impolite. So is stopping somebody to chat. However, stopping somebody to give them directions because they're clearly lost is purely polite, which is why New Yorkers will yell at you from across the street saying, "Hey, where you trying to go?" And then they'll give you directions. It's great. Honestly, like, and like subtlety in the way they interact. And then there's New York, which is about as subtle as a brick to the face. And it's just very cozy, you know?
Indigo would like to add that on the East Coast, we don't need to bless your heart. We just need to get shit done. So there's a kind
Hey.
of brusqueness that goes on. But
Yeah, there's a
There's
change
kind
in
of
the
a
dialect.
stereotype. There's kind of a stereotype of Americans in New Zealand. In fact, there's stereotypes of every country in New Zealand. Because New Zealand is not very tourist friendly. And
So polite, but so judgmental.
it's basically that like Americans are really friendly and talkative, and like New Zealanders will just kind of like be very to the point with their conversations. If you're walking along, you don't expect to say someone to necessarily like call to say hi to you from across the street or anything, but Americans will often do that in New Zealand, and it's like shocking. It's like, why are you talking to me? This is
no, I love that.
I'm just walking. Why we need to talk?
That is entirely valid. I've heard from some British people who've been to New York that it's like, why are Americans so, I don't even know if nice is the right word, but like, why are they so
Invasive?
social?
I don't know.
Yeah,
You
social.
need to what you need to do is you just need to
Well,
like
I got their
master
attention
the
from
head.
swing around the
It's like
outside
when
to
you
look
make
for
eye
face to
contact
match.
with someone who like you know, but you don't want to talk to. You just give them the head nod, and then
Yeah,
that's all
it's
you
called
need.
the East Coast Wave here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could
Yeah.
aptly call it that here too.
Yeah, honestly.
Which,
Okay,
which
I will
actually,
tell you
like,
this,
our
though.
Prime Minister, she's talking about social distancing during COVID, and she's like, okay, guys, we need to not be handshaking anymore. So everyone just use the East Coast Wave, and then she does the East Coast Wave on national television
God.
and in
Oh.
public.
Beautiful.
Like,
Your Prime
Wow.
Minister is fantastic.
Wow.
she's done pretty well. I admit.
Oh, we hit 27K. Sorry. to
Oh,
interrupt.
wild.
Also, someone described Americans as golden retrievers,
Yes.
friendly, loud, expressive, and social.
Hey, big
Thank
guy.
you, Stephen Flint.
Yeah, that is
Hugest mood.
fully accurate.
I did want to say, in terms of the the sort of head nod thing, I had a very odd sort of mutual camaraderie experience because while New York never sleeps, most of it does sleep around 5 a.m. So if you're up really early to travel out of the city, it's going to be just you and the people setting up the bagel stands.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, like, you know, you're walking through the streets, you're, you know, young lady, big backpack, you're clearly trying to get somewhere, it's New York, there's all these stories, but no, the most experience, the most, like, social interaction you will have is the guy setting up his booth on the corner will give you a nod, and you'll give him a nod, because instead of being like, why the fuck are you up? It'll be like, ah yes, you've got your business, I've got my business,
okay?
see you later. And it's just, I don't know, very
It's like
soothing.
you two don't want to be up right now, but yet we
Yeah,
are.
yeah. Exactly. It's that sense of camaraderie of being awake in New York before the fucking sun is, and you're like, yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's fair. Because like my city is a very sparse city. Like it's not very tightly packed at all. Basically, after the earthquake, the entire city center just got dismantled, so that it was just dead, and then it sort of spread because no one really knew where to build. Anyway, so long story short, we have a pretty sparse city, so there's hardly any people in there anyway. But I forgot where I was going with that point, and that's really annoying.
You're not going to see a lot of people before 5 a.m.?
Yeah, you won't see many people anyway, like anytime. we're all too hidden and just like hiding now, especially with quarantine.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Up
yeah.
here, we were out yesterday morning walking down to go get some like groceries and stuff. And it was really weird because like I'm usually up pretty early. I'm usually up at 6 even on weekends, and yes, I hate myself for it too. But so it was like, wow, it's 10 a.m. but it kind of just feels like it's 8 a.m. You know, there's like a couple of people out and about, but like really not that many people. It feels like everything is still closed, which I guess in a way it is.
I've missed
But
these
it's
crypto
alright.
fist talks.
Here's the thing that
weather's
aren't
been not
bagels and pretzels are a big thing in New York, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes,
And
they
pizza.
are.
Yeah.
And pizza.
Pizza, yeah. But bagels
And
and,
pizza.
pretzels aren't really a thing in my city. Like I had a pretzel one time. Like pretzel to me are these little
Like the hard
really
ones?
hard crusty things.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Not soft.
No, it's like a hard pretzel.
Well, no, but like the big soft one's the
Yeah,
best.
that's a soft pretzel.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry,
Like
to
eating a
continue.
hug.
And yeah, like I went to LA one time and got a pretzel there, and it's just salted bread.
No, you need to go to
Okay.
Philly, get a Philly
An LA pretzel. Yeah. It's not the same thing, man.
It's not the same
LA
thing.
has
It's
a
like
lot
the
of
whole
things that they call
California
things, but
versus
aren't
It's
Chicago
not.
pizza.
We'll hook you
whatever
up
it
with
is.
Indigo.
Oh,
She'll
no.
get you down to Philly. We'll get you a good pretzel.
I don't even know if there's stereotypes about California pizza, but the main pizza war in the U.S. is between New York and Chicago because
that's
New
right.
York pizza is New York pizza is incredibly thin. And Chicago
And
pizza.
delicious.
Well, Chicago has.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, it is. But Chicago has thin crust pizza, but it also has deep dish pizza, which is basically just a cheese pie. And obviously, New Yorkers and Chicagoans disagree on which one is better.
Well, they're not the same
I'm
thing.
I'm
one
looking
is
at
pizza,
this.
and
This
the
is-
other one is just a casserole with a biscuit
I'm-
crust.
I am looking at this. This is not a pizza.
No, it's a pie. It's a pizza pie.
Exactly. So
It's just-
you can't compare them because one is pizza and one is not. So, and they put the sauce on
That's
top
what
of
makes it
I'm
delicious.
sorry.
If an entire
doesn't get
meal
crispy
is
and
like
bubbly.
one of your pieces, then it's a pie.
Yeah, basically. So there's that. But bagels are actually more tricky because the thing is,
The great
there's like
concept.
there's a very specific way to cook bagels
Yes,
that
you
my
have to
dad,
boil
who
them
is a New York,
and
you have to
bake
boil
them.
them. There's like baking soda involved. Then you
What?
bake them. Sometimes you like throw a cup of water into the oven and then you close it so that they're
Yeah,
sort of
well, you steam it.
steaming
You
while
do
they're
that with a
baking.
lot
it's
of,
a
like,
process.
different kinds of buns.
You boil your bagels.
You have to boil
you-
them.
It's the way God
Yeah.
intended.
Yeah, like you can't just. So when you make the dough, you boil the
It's
dough.
actually the
before you
11th
bake it.
commandment. Yeah, you basically you form them
you-
form them into bagel shapes and then you boil them in this like I think it's water and like some salt
it's
and
like
maybe baking
alkaline,
soda I
I
think.
think.
And then you take them out and then you put them on a tray and you bake them. And sometimes when you
Yeah.
bake them you also toss in a cup of like ice water into the oven and then you close the door so that they're steaming as they're baking. And this produces this really good gluten-y like crust on the
It's
outside.
crispy. It's soft. That's how you make a bagel.
And that's how you make a bagel. Nobody outside of New York makes them this way.
Okay. There
Montreal,
are
kind
a
of.
few places that do, But the problem is, a lot of places are just like, it's just bread. You just bake it, and then it's not a good
yeah.
bake. Sorry, I've been living in Boston for several years. It's so hard to get good pizza
I
and
know!
bagels up here. It is so hard.
Dude. Dude, my New Yorker dad went out of his way to figure out how to make bagels so he could get that taste of home.
Honestly, a lot of my family is from New York, and then when we went down, we were in Florida for Thanksgiving this year, and my sister was like, "Oh, I'll make bagels," and all my family who has moved to like Texas, Florida, South Carolina was like, "You'll make bagels?" And so we had bagels for breakfast on Thanksgiving morning.
Great.
Is this the
Yeah.
flight to Newark?
Yeah, basically it's the unspoken rule. Actually, no, it's spoken a lot, very loudly in a thick Brooklyn accent, that bagels outside of New York are not real bagels. And if you can buy them in like a bag of 6 of them from a bakery, they're not real bagels.
Yeah, no, my mom brings me bagels to Boston every time she comes up to like do anything. She'll be like, "Do you want me to bring you bagels?" I'm like, "There's like a dozen of them."
Fucking duh.
And then you
Yes.
freeze them and you like thaw them and toast them. They're
This is such an
Don't get me
amazing
started on my
insight
bread
into
products.
American cuisine.
Yeah, you're learning
Yeah.
so much.
yeah, it's not hamburgers, it's bagels and pizza.
We thought we were going to be talking about like Lord of the Rings, like world building and shit. No, we're just talking about pizza and urban planning.
No,
I mean, let's be real, this is actually good for world building.
I fucked up. Oh no, oh god.
This is like good insight into world building.
failed to save
If you
the
want to
story.
give it that real local flavor, you got these 2 warring kingdoms, and one of them also makes their flatbread differently.
Yeah, the real cause of the war, you know, you've got to look at like the culinary reasons behind war in your world.
It's mostly pizza.
Everything changed when the Fire Nation didn't boil their goddamn bagels.
And thus they were overthrown. Need a plan, need a plan.
I
need
mean,
a plan,
honestly-
need a plan.
Honestly, local cuisine in fantasy worlds is often just like completely disregarded, but there's so much potential there.
There is, but I mean, how much time are you going to be able to actually put it in your book?
Okay.
It depends if you're from
Yeah, I mean,
New York
let's-
or not.
Are you writing Game of Thrones where you
I mean-
have entire pages devoted to descriptions of a feast?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't like world building cuisine because it's boring to me, and like it's hard to come up with fictional food that has like isn't just taken from the real world and also still sounds like it tastes good. And I just find it boring. But I think more people who actually find it interesting should do it. So I'm being a big old hypocrite. Yeah.
I feel like you can.
No, I get what you mean.
I feel like you can like take ingredients that you would normally put into a meal and like construct them into another
master's
thing.
so
But then
awesome.
again, I'm not a writer, so
My
probably
favorite,
not the best.
my favorite little bit of culinary world building is in the Avatar Day episode, where the whole thing is like they're gonna kill Aang by boiling him in oil, and then they celebrate the time that he saved them by eating uncooked dough to celebrate the time that the Avatar was not boiled in oil. Like that's just, it's a one-off thing. It's mostly for a joke, but it's just such good little bits of world building.
Okay, Indigo texted me that right before you started saying
Oh,
it. I was
really?
about to tell you to
Okay.
say it.
Coming?
Ha!
Nah, I get to City Hall for my dad's ceremony. All right. Tell your pops I said congrats.
We should be almost to the point where the thing is re-downloaded.
Yeah, let me just take a quick little peekadoo over here. Up to our downloads. Okay, 11 minutes.
Oh,
we're
it's
getting
nearly
there.
done.
We're getting there.
It's
We're
nearly
almost
done.
there.
Also, do you do you have any online games on PS4?
A couple. I don't usually
MJ,
play
did they start the ceremony yet?
online because I don't have online friends all that much.
I thought you were gonna
but-
say friends.
Well,
Oh god.
I have several friends.
If you get
they go to different
an
schools.
online PS4 game, I'll play with you sometime.
Oh,
I don't really care.
hell yes! I'll have to do
I've
some
got-
thinking about good options. But
Why is the chat talking about pineapple on pizza? When did that come up?
we're just
don't
talking
have to
about
do this.
We're talking about bad
Yeah.
culinary world building. We got to pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, who actually likes that? They're all lying when they say they do, but you know.
Pineapple's good.
Yeah,
Pizza good. Just keep that shit apart.
I agree. I am totally there with you.
We
It's like
should,
New Zealand cuisine is pretty limited. We have some indigenous cuisine, but it's pretty limited because there wasn't a huge amount of food before Europeans got here in terms of variety. But there is they cooked a lot of food underground, so they cover it in leaves and stuff, and then they'd put it underground where it's warm, often near like volcanic
Oh yeah,
places.
I read about that.
Yeah, it's called a hangi, and then it'll come up with this like the chicken like tastes really earthy and stuff like that, and it's really tender. We also have lolly cake, which is literally just ground up malt biscuits with butter and condensed milk, and then
Oh my god.
and then
That
hello
sounds
puff.
good.
It's amazing. It is like my favorite sweet thing in the world, and it's so bad for me.
I mean, is any sweet thing worth eating if it's not terrible for you?
That's true. That's true.
Raspberries are
That's true.
sweet.
I mean,
they're
wait.
like nominally good for you.
Fruit is only
Fair.
kind of good for you. I'll admit, in terms of the ratio of sweetness to bad for you, I think sweetened condensed milk is like up there.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
I mean, who cares?
If you make like
Hey, I'm
the
here for
dulce
a
de
good
leche
time.
You only
with
live
the
once.
sweetened condensed milk,
Yeah.
I love it.
I want to be the kind of person who gets to eat as much sweetened condensed milk as I wanna.
If you put
That's my
that-
life goal.
Yeah, if you make dulce de leche out of sweetened condensed milk and then mix like streaks of it into brownie batter before you bake it, ideal.
Yes.
Just saying.
Oh, dude.
Not healthy,
I-
but
I-
ideal.
I learned how to home make Thai iced coffee just so I could find an
yeah.
excuse to get that sweetened condensed milk in my diet. So good.
I
Also,
know, but it's
pro
so
tip:
good.
those of you who, if you crack open a can of sweetened condensed milk and then you can't eat more than 2 teaspoons, which is pretty much everybody, you can then mix that sweetened condensed milk with equal parts melted chocolate, melted in a double boiler, and it will turn into basically fudge. It's not technically fudge, and it's much more chocolatey than regular fudge, but it's delicious, and you can cut it into cubes and eat it. And it's got this really
No.
good texture.
I actually have done that before because I came across this guy cooking this YouTube channel, and he made white chocolate cookies and cream fudge, and that was basically the
You just
And
need
then
to
it also
keep
doesn't even
stirring
have
it.
that much chocolate in it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it
Are
depends
you a
often
smooth
if-
caramel fudge or like hard Russian fudge type guy?
What?
I'm not familiar with the difference. I'm honestly I'm new to this world of fudge
Well,
nuance.
yeah, I was gonna
Russia
say
has
usually
fudge?
it's like fudgy.
I'm
From Russia with
I'm
fudge.
sure that. Hang on, I'll get up 2 different
Demons are
images
down.
because they
No, it's
look
okay.
very
Take it from
different.
here, officers.
I mean, I've made fudge before, but it usually ends up like it's like cocoa powder and sugar and
Nothing like a
vanilla.
masked menace to bring people
Yeah.
together.
For the most part,
It's
that's
not
like
that chocolatey.
little corn syrup. To be fair, it does depend on what cocoa powder you use, because if you use like really good like dark cocoa powder, it comes out pretty chocolatey. But yeah, you're
Yeah,
right. It's not.
yeah.
It's more like chocolate flavored and less like chocolate, like eating a piece of chocolate.
Yeah.
Unless you put chocolate
I will
chips
say,
in your fudge, in which case you're awesome.
Yeah.
But
I found a recipe for caramel. It's my favorite kind of recipe. The way you do it is you dump all the ingredients in a pot at once, and then you let them melt together, and then you let it sit for 45 minutes.
yes,
Beautiful.
yes.
So, it's great. I feel like a witch when I make it. God, we've just been talking about food for like 30 minutes.
Listen,
Hey,
I
that's
love
how
food.
streams go.
I make food for literally all occasions.
Ah,
I know one of the greens, the green who lived with Blue last year, would sometimes just like come over to me being like, "Oh, I want to make chocolate chip cookies," and he's like, "You can't just make chocolate chip cookies in 30 minutes." I'm like, "I can, and I will."
Like
Hey,
hell,
man.
I can.
Treated by armed suspects. Backup requested.
Oh, I actually don't want to do this mission because it's one of the missions where you can't do anything because you're not playing as Spider-Man, and they're super boring and kind of the worst part of the game. But
Well, it has been a few more minutes, but probably not quite enough for you to get the new game yet. That's okay. Just run up large buildings and talk about food.
Well,
What
that's-
is your favorite food, Blue?
my favorite food, I really love Thai food in all its forms.
Oh man, I'm there, man.
Specifically, like a good red curry is just, oh my god, I could eat that for the rest of my life. Let's go climb up that building. Curry is good.
I love
yeah,
Sweet
that's,
There you
and
are.
sour.
that's the one that
I'm
I'm
back.
Sweet and sour pork?
thinking of right now. Oh, that sounds
Nice.
Yeah.
tasty.
Yeah,
Like with crispy wontons.
There's a restaurant near the apartment I lived in while I was in grad school. It's called Punjab Palace. And they made a really great, like, matar paneer. I'm sure I'm botching the pronunciation. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it is delicious, and I love it, and I think about it daily, but it's too far for me to just
It's
go
like
to.
basically the best like Indian restaurant in all of Boston.
But yeah.
It's so good.
It's like my favorite.
They fucked up the textures.
Oh no.
Oh wow. Oh, someone got fired for that.
But yeah, if anyone's from
Oh,
Boston and lives near Ulston, go to Punjab Palace. It's delicious.
Really zeroing in on our food recommendations here.
That's where I lived in grad school. I lived in
Yeah,
Ulston.
yeah.
That's probably surprising to no one who's
Yeah.
from Boston. Specifically, go to that restaurant.
Yeah. Okay.
Get the garlic naan.
So this is a little bit of a top-down view of New York here. Oh, wait, sorry, Tim. Go ahead.
I found kind of what the difference is between the two types of fudge.
Okay.
They're like, one of them's very smooth, and one of them's like harder and crunchier and kind of more granular.
My guess would be it's more of the. Oh yeah, no, it's more of the top one. The smoother fudge is kind of what I make.
Yeah.
Right.
I think
because then the bottom one.
Yeah, in America, we would probably relegate the second one to the realm of like how we'd make toffees. Which, Red, you often make toffee, or at least you did back in high school. Those were amazing days where Red would just come in with a plate of like, yeah, I made like fudge toffee, and I'm like, oh, fantastic. My teeth would shatter, but oh my god, it was so tasty.
Okay, here's the deal with that. Basically, in senior year of high school, I had only like 4 classes. One of them was PE. So I had a lot of spare time, and a lot of time. What?
I didn't imagine PE as one of your chosen subjects, given.
Oh man.
I think it's usually
I was
mandatory,
right?
Well,
no.
Mandatory.
Gym stops being mandatory 4th year in our high school, so I was like,
no, for us we had to take it all 4 years, and it sucked.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry to anyone who really likes gym. I am athletic, but also hate it.
Sorry to anyone named Jim.
No, if you're named Jim, I think you're awesome. But if you like gym,
yeah. No, I did it because it had a gymnastics class, and it's actually really hard to find places to actually do gymnastics.
yeah.
I do it at home, but my parents would get upset that I was using the furniture improperly. So
yeah.
But yeah, so it gave me that option. But the thing is, that was the winter that I broke my clavicle.
Oh no!
And I stopped being able.
Right.
Yeah. So I stopped being able to do gym for like 3 months, and I was like telling the teacher, like, yeah, I'm sorry, like I could work out just my other arm, and he's like, no, man, just sit out the class. And I was like, okay, if you're sure. So I ended up with even more spare time, and I was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I know, bake non-stop and play video games in the senior lounge.
Oh,
so
the senior lounge. Oh wow, Red and I.
What a realm of
you
wonders.
guys were allowed to like bake at school.
Oh no, I would bake at home, and then I would just bring stuff in.
Basically, our senior year of high school, our schedule was so busted because both Red and I kind of front-loaded all of our work to the beginning of high school. So we had just loads of spare class time for senior year. So we'd like schedule out when we'd play certain video games at various parts of the day.
And I hate you both for it.
So like the first part, like Red and I would just play the Naruto fighting game, and then in the afternoon we played a bunch of fucking Splinter Cell, which was so good. They need to make another one of those.
I front-loaded
and
my
GTA
high school
5.
And GTA 5, that was great.
I front-loaded my high school career, and then I back-loaded my high school career too. And then I front-loaded my college career. But then I got out of college early, but then I went back for more. So, clearly the problem is me, and not you guys.
Oh no.
So much school. This is like my first year not in school full-time, and occasionally I still wake up with like severe anxiety that I didn't do my homework.
Yeah, I know
Dude.
that never goes away.
I have had 2 separate stress streams where the premise of the stress stream is I've actually been signed up for classes this whole time, but I haven't been going because I'm lazy, and now I need to go find the class, and it's and like they've expanded the campus a huge amount, and everything's in different places, and I have to climb through a vent to get there, and then I get there just the class is letting out.
Yeah, the eternal torture.
So there's good news.
It's so bad.
We can officially play the other game.
We can officially play Horizon Zero Dawn. I'm going to turn off the video for while I just kind of faff around on the back end to get this to work, but we should still be able to hear all of us.
See the eyeball?
Yeah.
Click the eyeball.
CC video.
Yep, click that.
Boop. Cool.
There you go.
All right.
So we'll be back on video. Nobody panic. We turned it off intentionally while we switch out to the new game.
So, I don't know. While we're here, kind of in between topics, Tim, is there anything you wanted to talk about specifically while we're on the stream? So we're going to talk about some world building. We'll be able to get to that in a little bit, but just anything fun on your mind, anything you've been watching that you want to just dish about?
Altered Carbon.
Ooh.
Interesting choice of dishing. Continue.
Which is probably actually a bit niche to talk, because you'll lose like 90% of your audience, so we won't do that.
Actually, I mean, I don't actually know what that is, so if you want to just give the crash course.
Altered Carbon's a Netflix series that it just got its 2nd series, and it's a sci-fi cyberpunk story, basically set in a world where people have these things called stacks, which they have on the back of their neck, where they store their consciousness. And that means that you can take out the stack, put them in a new body, and it also means, consequently, that because sleeves or bodies are expensive, rich people live forever. So you're in this kind of dystopian, semi-dystopian world where everyone sort of lives forever, but it's kind of ruled by this group called the Meths, sort of. I mean, it's not actually ruled, but it's sort of oligarchical because you've got these people with huge amounts of wealth and power who live forever and can't die. And also the ability to kind of transmit your consciousness from planet to planet, because obviously it's a lot quicker to do that. Yeah, it does this. It does a really cool thing, which is that it changes actors every season. So all of the characters, so the main character was I don't know if you've watched House of Cards. No,
we've all
okay.
seen
really my
Suicide
speed.
Squad. The same actor.
It doesn't matter. One of the main actors in that is plays the main guy in the first season, and then the guy who plays the Eagle dude in Avengers, the
Anthony
Eagle
Mackie?
dude. I don't know his name.
Anthony Mackie?
Wait, Falcon?
Falcon, that's the
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
He's the main character. He plays the main character in the second season, and the second season's even better than the first season. Oh, it's just really, really good classic sci-fi.
Okay.
Not like Heinlein Asimov classic.
God!
I love people. I love people in the chat going, guys, don't forget to donate at the link in the description.
Oh.
Guys,
Yes, please
don't
do.
forget to donate at the link in the description.
We are at 27. We really want to hit that 30 goal. Give us a nice round number to pass over to Feeding America, because they do such good work. Kids need meals. This is a hard time, so if you can spare anything, it will go to very good use. All right, we are in Horizon Zero Dawn. It only took me 3 hours.
Hell yeah!
All right.
Okay.
So where?
So what do I want
the
to talk
hell
about?
am
I want to talk about Horizon Zero Dawn.
Wonderful. Tell me,
Alright.
because I have actually never seen this game before.
It is incredible in every way. I could gush about everything about this game. I don't even know where to start.
What's
How
the
much have you
premise?
guys each played?
I have played through about probably a third to half of the game. I know that basically, you know, the pitch on the back of the box is robot dinosaurs, which had me sold instantly. And then it's like,
Instantly.
you know, it's bow combat as the main mechanic instead of like meleeing or guns or stuff. So it's all you have to do, these different kinds of bows. That's the wrong button. Where's the okay, so I've got different kinds of bows. Oh my god, I haven't played this game in a year and a half. It's okay, we'll have fun. Is that,
Kind of is giving me Land Before Time vibes.
a little bit, but all the characters
But
are
like,
robots.
yeah.
Oh man.
So the main kind of hook of the game, for people who don't know, is that it's in this post-apocalyptic world. So it's not post-apocalyptic as the cities. It's like way. And there's all these robots, which you don't know why they're here, where they came from, but there's a lot of religious ideas surrounding them. All these tribes with their own really unique cultures. And the broad question of the story is, where did they come from and what happened to the world that created what created the world as the way it was. But also, you as a child just sort of appeared out of nowhere, out of this mountain, this giant vault underground, which you haven't been able to go back into. And so you don't have any parents, like you don't have a mum or a dad, you don't know who your mum or dad are or where they were, or where they came from. And so on a personal level, you're trying to find out who you are, and on a kind of more wider world building plot level, you're trying to then find out what created this world.
Awesome. So I don't really have any particular goals in here.
The game audio got real loud because I've tried to turn it down.
Oh no! Oh, I'll fix that.
Do you want to fix it on yours?
Yeah.
Or okay.
Oops. Yeah.
Audio.
No.
Go to audio.
Yep, audio.
There you go. Turn everything down to 50. There you go.
Whoops.
I
Sorry,
forgot
guys.
about that, and I saw the chat screaming, and I was like, "Game audio."
Game audio!
Oh no! Oh, what the? Oh god, what was that? What? Why can't I control? Oh, I inverted my controls by accident.
You want to fix that?
I'm gonna fix that. Controls inverted. Nope. Okay. All right. That is a tall
That's
neck?
a tall neck.
Yeah.
Yep. And you were finding some sawtooths, I believe it was.
Yep.
Before.
Everyone's like, oh my god, so much better. I'm sorry, chat. I
By the
betrayed
way,
you.
So sorry, everybody.
If you turn on your focus, you can find out what the weak points are on that. If you look at it with your focus on. Hold down R3, I think it is.
Oh yeah.
There you
There
go.
we go.
Man vision.
No, that's the side of its face. Aha! As expected. I just set up a blast mine to bust up this dude's day.
You fell into my trap.
You activated my trap.
Yes.
I'm trying to come into this game after so long and immediately go fighting sawtooths might not have been the best option, but gets you in the game. So after this, we can basically pick a point on a map and then just kind of go, because the world of this game is so beautiful and so much of the draw. Why are so many icons on the edge of the screen that are looking angry? Oh,
because they're angry.
That's bad. Oh dear God.
If you would like to show, if you would like to show your viewers 2 of the biggest monsters, I can tell you where to go.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yes. Maybe we can finally do the Dragon Rush in this other game.
Oh no.
Okay, you are gonna get
Angry
slaughtered.
Angry chickens. This is bad. All right, run away.
Those are actually really powerful. Those ones. They killed me quite a fair few times.
I feel like they're gonna kill me quite a fair few
part
times as well.
I take it you don't have the triple bow upgrade, which allows you to load in 3 arrows at once.
Oh no, I don't. That's unfortunate.
Well, it's a skill or an
Oh,
upgrade. Flee! Flee! Flee for your lives!
All right, let's attempt to get out of here, and then we can go do some nice sightseeing. Jeez. But as we were kind of
It
mentioning
is
earlier,
a genuinely beautiful game, though,
yeah,
right?
The world of this game is basically
So pretty.
superimposed onto the American West. So a lot of it is built into Yellowstone National Park and the surrounding areas. I think the Great Lake is kind of in here. The Great Salt Lake. I think maybe I'm just pulling that out of thin air.
Isn't the Great Lake like up in the northeast or something?
Midwest, kind of, but it's like
Maybe.
it's like if you divide the U.S. into thirds, it's like 1/3 of the way in from the East Coast.
Yeah, the Great Lakes. Yeah.
Sorry, I was. There's a difference between the Great Lakes and the Great Salt Lake. I had misspoke earlier.
Oh.
The Great Salt Lake is right on the edge of Yosemite. That's in Utah. So,
The Great Salt
Tim,
Lake.
I have the map open here. Where would you suggest that we go?
Okay, so do you want to see giant flying lightning bird or giant fire missile Tyrannosaurus Rex robot?
I think we got to go for giant
T-Rex.
flying lightning. Oh, okay, never mind. we are split. Wait,
Okay,
chat. Let's
so-
leave this to chat. Do we want to go lightning bird or fire T-Rex?
Okay, quick,
You gotta wait,
everyone
like, 30
donate and
seconds.
leave in the comments lightning bird or fire T-Rex.
Incentive.
Incentive!
Yeah. Donate $1 if you want Firebird. If you donate $2 if you want Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yes, that's how we do it. Use that link in the description. I'm going to attempt to
Indigo
extricate myself
would like
from
to
this.
throw in her vote for fire dino.
Okay, fire dino.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
All right.
My vote is for whoever donates the most from the commenters. Come on, commenters, donate now.
Aha. Take that.
For now, I think we're gonna have to deal with
Oh,
this guy.
for now we're gonna have to die.
Considered instead not dying.
I have. I don't know how to actualize that plan, however.
Run away or
Oh, there are 2 of them.
run away faster.
Also,
Faster.
Faster.
Not
Oh
even
my
kidding.
god, I
Not
cracked
fast
up against
enough.
the tree. Oh, jeez. Alright, maybe I fast travel the heck out of here. Whew.
I saved up a whole bunch of money to buy a Thunderjaw model. It's like
Oh, Beautiful.
half a meter long.
Woohoo! Wow. That's like the size of this table.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
sitting in a box in my garage.
Oh, that's incredible.
So do you want to know where to go?
Yes, I think
The chat's pretty split.
chat's pretty split. So
It seems like there are about even.
Okay, put it this way. You're a lot closer to the Thunderjaw, which is the Tyrannosaurus Rex, than you are to the
Okay,
Lightning
cool.
Bird. And
So let's
they're
start
both
with the
going the same
Tyrannosaurus
direction.
Rex.
yeah, let's Thunderjaw it first.
And then if you guys get it up to
Okay.
30,000, we'll go on over to
there
the
we
lightning
go.
curve.
Yeah, okay. That's how we.
So head
that's how we-
north.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Head north from where you are on the map.
Motivation.
Keep going north. Oh, okay. Yep.
Should have gone into marketing.
Oh wait, can I? Is there fast travel? How
You
do I
can
fast
mark it
travel?
on the. You can, but you can travel via the via the green fireplaces.
Oh, okay. Let me do that.
But as long as you have some fast travel packs.
Oh.
No,
Aha.
you don't need to save there or go there. You can just do it from the map.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you find one you
oh
want to go
yeah,
to.
there we go. Okay. How far do I want to go up?
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. But hang on, I'll just enlarge this because otherwise I won't be able to see. How do I make this larger? There we go. Okay, cool. Zoom out a bit. I just need to find out where we are. I think it's. Have you actually? You might have come across it before.
Oh, you know what? I might have.
Oh, I just realized I'm listening to both the stream and the live going on happenings, and I was really confused
No. It's
about
little.
how
Oh,
you were
no.
talking so fast. Because I was hearing you say things every 3 seconds. So I was like, dang. Or sorry, 3 times a second.
Okay, it might be. I'm trying. I've got a picture of the map here of where it is. I just can't see that on the map.
Is it this green area? This kind of brown area?
No,
or
it's
further
in the
up?
desert area. It's beneath the.
Is it
I don't
maybe the
think
big
it's-
blue giraffe over there?
No, that's a tall neck.
No. It's somewhere in the middle there. Tell you what, just go to that camp, that one that you're near.
The campfire. That one?
Yep, either one of those.
Cool. Let's go. All right.
Woo!
This is a chaotic
I-
stream, but we're having fun.
Everyone's shouting about Grok, and everyone else is very confused.
Sorry, everybody.
Do, 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 do. I know, right?
Alrighty.
Fancy. Okay, quick. Everyone's go-to random song when they're asked to sing a random song. Go.
Oh no.
Chasing
Wait.
Cars, because that's literally the only song I know.
Chasing cars. I don't know if I'm familiar.
I think you are. You just don't know that you're familiar.
Maybe. There are a lot of songs
We'll
that
go
I
into
know
that
that I
later.
just don't know by name. I was never a music person. Like, at high school dances,
Yeah.
a song would come on and everyone would be like, yeah! And I'd be like, what?
I was really big
It
into
changes
orchestral
depending
music,
on-
so it's just like, ooh, you know the one with the really good violin
Yeah.
bit, and then the flutes go like doo 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 doo. Everyone's like, no, we have no idea what you're talking about, except for other orchestra band kids, who were like, yeah, that one.
Oh, we're in Monument Valley, I think. Maybe?
Go hard.
Oh.
What?
Alrighty. So,
Okay, if you
if I...
head south from where you are, hang on, I've just got up the map here. For some reason, my computer is
found
deciding to
it.
slow down.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Thunderjaw site.
Yes,
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
Alright.
yes. Apologies for me taking so long to get there.
Oh, no,
You're
it's
good.
okay.
You're good.
In the the scale of things that have impeded us from getting to a Thunderjaw, my technical problems are way higher on the list. Let's see if I can find us one of those buffalo thingies that you can jack into and ride. Oh, that's a real ass turkey. Okay.
Turkey gets a brand new turkey.
Are there turkeys in the Utah Wild?
Apparently.
I mean, there's turkeys up here. In
Sometimes
the
there are turkeys
eastern
outside my
US,
back
but-
door. I'm like, excuse me.
Yeah. Turkeys are
I
kind of
feel
awful
like
sometimes.
I do feel like I'm missing out.
Like they just, you'll be walking down the street and then a turkey will jump in front of you and you'll be like, I'm sorry, please don't.
Wait, they just live in the wild?
Yeah, I mean, but also like sometimes in cities.
What?
Like in Boston, when I was at Boston University, high BU people, they would often, there would just be turkeys on campus, like on College Avenue.
It's a wild time.
It's a wild time. It's like, they're very similar to like deer, except for a lot less likely to total your car. I also lived a large portion of my life in New Jersey, where deer, they like would tell you when you're doing driver's ed, like, just remember, you didn't hit the deer hit you. Oh my gosh.
What the heck was that? BRB, something fell.
What even over here?
In the meantime, other wildlife stories. I've heard that Texas has roadrunners in the same way most of the rest of the U.S. has squirrels.
Oh.
Alright,
So-
sorry,
We don't
we're
have
back.
squirrels here, so I went to
Yeah.
California, and when I
Box
saw
containing a lot
a
of,
squirrel, I was over the moon because they're
glassware
so
just kinda
cool.
tilted over.
Oh
Oh my
my
god, how
God.
have I not died yet?
Squirrels are adorable. But if you kind of think about it, they're a little disturbing because they move incredibly quickly. Like, I don't know if anyone's really noticed this because not many people have like tried to draw squirrels in my experience. They have really, really big eyes, and those eyes are completely black.
Yes.
They look incredibly eerie and soulless.
No, they're so cute, and I want to cuddle them and
They
have
are-
them as a pet.
Trust me, they are incredibly cute, but like, for the horror purpose, imagine one the size of a car that can move proportionately the same speed and distance to its body size.
Oh, I
Those
died.
are like basically just those things from A Quiet Place, but fluffy.
I haven't seen that film, but I really want to.
Same.
Especially because like the second one's coming out, and I watched The Invisible Man, and that was like the first horror film that I really, really enjoyed in a long time. Apart from like it.
I've been
I'm
meaning
just
to
not.
watch.
I'm not a horror film person
Oh,
at
neither
all.
am I.
Ooh.
I'm what experts call a pansy. So I don't like horror movies.
I've been meaning to watch Alien and Aliens.
That was hysterical to walk
Classic horror
into.
movies.
Also, it's fine. Just don't walk to the left side of the apartment. It smells like acetone.
Okay, cool. Oh, did the acetone spill?
No.
Well, oh, okay.
It just still smells like acetone.
Cool. Sorry, carry on.
Oh man. What were we talking about?
Horror
Probably
movies.
Horror
not
movie.
Acetone.
Yeah. So
Did you
here's
say
a
you
fun
haven't seen
experience.
Aliens?
Yeah, I actually haven't watched Alien or Aliens. I've been meaning to watch them both. Because they're classics, you know? But, here's the fun thing. I watched a while ago for exactly the same reason. It's a classic and I wanted to have seen it. I watched Terminator and Terminator 2 back to back. And that is a wild experience because Terminator is a horror movie. Terminator 2
What?
is an action movie. Yeah, man, everyone forgets. Terminator is a horror movie. It's basically like every horror movie where there's an unstoppable super murderer chasing down a bunch of, you know, like Freddy and Jason and shit like that. Just, you know, you can't stop it, you can't slow it down, it'll just chase you down and try and murder you. But it's got this like crazy setup of also it's a time traveling assassin from the future and you're being protected by a time traveling rebel from the future. So like that's the action part, but the way it plays out is horror. And
That's interesting.
yeah, and like it doesn't really get dealt with in the later movies, but the Terminator can like perfectly replicate people's voices. So Sarah Connor calls to like her parents and tells them like, "Oh yeah, it's really crazy. I've had a really rough day. I you know, super murderers and stuff. I can't really tell you details." And her mom's like, "Oh sweetie, I'm so sorry. You can come home, stay with us." And it pans out, and it's the Arnold speaking into the phone, and like her parents are dead in the kitchen, and it's like, "Oh my, wow." And then in the second movie, it's like Sarah Connor is fucking jacked now. She's been doing chin-ups all the time. She's been in this asylum. And now they've got a super murderer on their side. And there's car chases and explosions. And it is a wild ride watching those two in a 1 4-hour chunk. And I highly recommend it.
Wow.
Okay, I haven't actually seen Terminator 2. I've seen Terminator 1. And
Yeah.
also Salvation.
Okay, come on. Don't do yourself any favors there.
Hey, also, yeah, you should really pick up those health.
Those herbs, I will surely need them later. Oh gosh. Hollow Knight, I did a little bit of prep by playing a little bit the night before. Horizon Zero Dawn, clearly I did. Yeah, and then I was moving in all my friends.
The difference is we already had the Switch set up.
Thunderjaws aren't actually too difficult to defeat. I managed to kill one on my first try.
Oh, okay. So when I fail, it'll be all the more embarrassing.
Yeah.
That's the thing, is that, like, I mean, a lot of games are, you think, oh, big, bad thing, hard to kill. But the thing is that it's often a lot harder to kill a lot of small things all attacking you from different directions than one thing which you can always see and is usually, because it's bigger, relatively slow.
Yeah.
Except for when the big things are fast, then all bets are off.
Oh, I see large birds.
Yes. That's why, like, sawtooths are probably one of the harder things to kill.
Oh, yeah, because they're fast. You know, the first thing I tried to shoot as soon as I booted up the game after a year and a half of never touching it. Yeah. I'm smart. I'm good at video games. I'm really good at video games. We established this yesterday, or the other day on the Hollow Knight stream. That, like, I didn't die once. I was perfect. I knew exactly where I was going. We're going to intersperse this with footage of me.
See, Blue's just as good at video games as I am at Assassin's Creed. So if any of you saw that stream, you know what's up.
I've not played Assassin's Creed.
Your dive form was perfect.
To be fair, I had also not played Assassin's Creed at all.
Assassin's Creed is good, and I'm going to put a big asterisk next to that statement.
Do you want some tips on killing this thing?
I don't need tips because I'm so good at video games, but I will accept a tip anyway. If you
I will stand back and let your
you need to stop doing this.
guys be the novice here.
Surely my superior skills will get me through this situation without any.
Do you even know what weapons you have?
Yeah, I've got one that that's not the right button. I have there's the weapon wheel. I have a thing that rips stuff off, which I'm going to shoot at the rocket launchers first. Then I have a precision arrow, which does a lot of damage. Then I have a harvest arrow, which gives me more scrap. Then I have a bunch of explodey wires that explode. Then I have a freeze arrow, which does a lot of damage, maybe? I don't know. And then there's just this regular old hunter bow. Okay, so Tim, what's your advice?
No. You have proven to me without a doubt that you are the genius here.
Oh my god, are these people just running into this fight trying to... Okay, well, I'm gonna take it.
Oh my god.
Alright. No, that didn't work.
It has eye lasers? What is happening?
Yeah, that's no match for me because I'm so good at this game.
You can't hit it.
Just so epic.
There we go. That's one of its eye lasers. No, it's not. It still has both of its eye lasers. Alright, ripped off a bunch of stuff. I'm gonna try to shoot this tail now. Jack!
It's true. Did shoot the tail.
Ran right into my trap, as expected.
Hey, come on, man. Just use an EMP. How hard is that to make?
I don't know. I'm not super aware. I've actually never seen this game before today.
I love that it's a game where it's based around a very different style of combat, which I am a lot more, not accustomed to, but probably better at, which is I like laying traps and waiting and fighting from afar. I don't like. Yeah, I'm not very necessarily #good at video games, so I like games that allow me to sort of plan in advance and set out traps.
Indigo would like to add Trek's about to make him trapped. So, we're all on your side here, Blue.
I didn't understand what you just said.
The T-Rex is about to make you. You're gonna get squished.
Yeah, I'm gonna get squished.
Okay.
That's okay.
Better than the dragon strength.
Well, we found the monster this time, but in the dragon fight, or in the dragon rush, I didn't have to actually kill the monsters. I just had to try and
You're right, they'd
find
probably
the
be
monsters.
really mad if you tried to kill them.
Impa, the greatest monster of them all. Tim, for context, on Wednesday we tried to do a Legend of Zelda Dragon Rush to go find all the dragons in Breath of the Wild.
Oh,
Starting
no.
from the beginning of the game.
It went really badly.
Turns out you
Really
can't
bad.
just
We
find
did
the
see a dragon.
We found a dragon, and I was roasted on the subreddit, on Twitter, on our TV tropes page. We now have a trope for the No Dragons Dragon Run. Which makes me feel real good about myself.
As it turns out, the dragons don't spawn until part of the way through the game.
You guys have a TV tropes page. I am so jealous, by the way.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
It's
you heard it
mostly
here first, folks.
for
Jim needs a
stuff.
TV tropes page.
Sorry, Indigo would like to clarify. T-Rex about to make him T-Rex. I just read it wrong.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
That makes more sense.
I'm sorry, Indigo. I did you dirty. Everyone's like, no, it's okay. We found one dragon.
We found a dragon. If we can get our goal high enough, maybe we'll add one last stretch goal where we add a final stream to do the last of the Dragon Rush, but we're gonna get to that 30 first before we add our final stretch goal.
Yeah, guys. We can't add stretch goals if we don't reach our current goals.
Tim, how am I doing?
You're doing pretty well, actually. I think you're doing pretty amazing. If you manage to get that weapon, and then if you can do that, you'll be able to.
Okay, no ammo.
It's alright. You're doing pretty well. Just don't...
wow, that ended very suddenly.
Ooh. Unfortunate.
Well, we had fun while it lasted. I can do that again. I'm great at video games. I don't see what the problem is.
You get there, Bliff?
What's
I'm
your
okay.
favorite? What is your favorite video game? Like favorite game that you've played ever?
Favorite game that I've played ever? It would probably have to be.
And we'll exclude like nostalgia things that you played when you were a kid, because like.
Favorite video game.
Oh. I thought they asked favorite flavor of something.
Oh no, favorite video game ever? I'd probably have to put it at like Assassin's Creed 2 or Brotherhood, because those are the games that first got me into history like at all. So those were just really influential for me. But in terms of a game that I just really like playing, Breath of the Wild is up there because there's just so much good stuff going on and so much good game design. Oh man, I really love that game a lot. What are people saying? Oh, okay. People are saying that I can double notch arrows. Lesson learned. I do have the triple arrow. Okay, never mind. I'm just an idiot.
Wait, do you want to get some of those herbs there?
Yeah. Those herbs that I don't need, but will take anyway.
Those
Run away.
herbs.
But yeah, I have to say probably either one of the Assassin's Creeds, like 2 or Brotherhood, just because of that Italian Renaissance action is so good, or something like Breath of the Wild for me. What about you? Do you have a favorite?
So if we're balancing like game that I enjoyed the most, game that I recommend the most, and game that I like think is the best designed objectively, then I would say the Talos Principle, which is
that's the puzzle game, right?
It's a puzzle game, and it is one of the few gaming experiences I've had where like I was I don't even know how to explain it, but it's incredible. You wake up as this android in a world created by this figure called Elohim, and you have to solve puzzles, and you slowly begin to figure out why you are here and what the point of this whole world is. And it's beautifully done. If you actually like, you can go through the game and virtually miss the whole story if you really try to.
Wow.
That is the truth. Because it's done through a collection of recordings which you find and listen to from this person, and you don't know why this person's talking to you, but by the end of the game it's apparent.
Yeah.
But and then secondly, there's also these computers which you can find. Usually they're pretty obvious to find, like you go into a new puzzle world and then it's right in front of you. But and you interact with this computer, and this computer has a whole bunch of files which when you start, just have no context and you have no clue, stories and pictures and things that you don't have any idea about why they're there. And then slowly you talk with this computer, and they ask you questions and you answer, and you slowly begin to get an idea of why they're there as well, and it all weaves in perfectly.
The old slow burn, yeah, that sounds really cool.
Yeah, and philosophically, it also deals with my favorite topic, which I won't tell you because that would give away part of the game.
Okay. Oh, speaking of games that I really like, the new God of War. I don't know why that didn't even strike me until right now. I love that game. I played God of War a lot when I was younger. Let me just get off the radar of this big giant monster here. Haha. Oops. Okay. Oh, right. I didn't shoot those off first. I need to.
Oh, hey. We're at 28K.
Whoa! We're getting there.
Getting closer to that. Getting closer to the lightning lightning burb.
Do we get the lightning burb when we reach 30K?
30K to get the lightning burb.
30K to get. Okay.
It's only 2 more K.
It's also predicated on whether or not I die this time, which seems like maybe. Whew. Oh boy. Just try to knock some kit off this big, massive robot dinosaur. Oof.
Yeah, it's got a lot of cables and bits on.
Yeah. It's almost as complicated as my screen set.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's got...
Oh, and for favorite video games,
there you go.
I gotta go. I mean, here's the thing. I think that game-wise, I really love Shadow of the Colossus. I mean, we've talked about this.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus is great.
But experience-wise, I have never had more fun than when I was playing Smash Bros.
Oh,
that's fair.
yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that is who you're playing with. But
hey.
yeah.
Slowly just knocking bits and bobs off this big, stupid dinosaur. Okay. No, that was a miss.
Oh, there you go. You can get closer to it now, I think.
Yeah, but what? Then I increase the chance that I get hit by it.
True, but
that's what I don't want to do. Now let's knock some arrows here. Shoot in the face. That didn't do a lot.
what's it shooting at?
Oh, it's shooting at the other
people
idiot
down
people
there
who are dumb enough to get close to it. I mean, wow, who would try to face that thing one-to-one, face-to-face? That's just asking for death, right?
Ooh. I didn't realize there were other people in this world.
Yeah, there are some. Not a whole lot. Uh-oh.
It kind of populated Overworld as far as I've seen.
Yeah, one of the things that, and Tim can speak to this better than I can, but they really do have a lot of complex world building and how cultures very organically evolve from this world as it sort of is set. There are completely different cultures with different, like,
there's something really interesting that they do, which is
stuff.
that basically all of the different groups have kind of a different reading of what these robots are and what the point of them is. So you come from the Nora, who really don't like the robots, as in they're, stay away from them. They are bad. All the old ones that don't go near their technology or their ruins or anything like that. But then there's like the Banuk, who see the spirits, who see these robots as having like spirits inside of them that can be corrupted, hence why they go from blue to red. And they all use like the actual pieces of the robots in their armor, in their cultures and stuff. And even when they don't use them, their clothing of like kings and stuff often reflects the look of particular robots, which is really cool.
Oh, that's dope.
It's
die.
so well done. I'm gonna go for try number 3. I think I might be even worse at this game than I am at Hollow Knight, which is saying something.
If I were you, I would set out all of your traps, and then before you actually engage.
Yeah, no, that's smart. I'll do that.
Also, you're using the right strategy, which is using those explosive arrows to knock off those things on the side. That's the good strategy. But then you should potentially flick to your sharp shot arrows. I think they're
Yeah.
called, which are basically like snipe arrows that do like 3 times as much damage. I think they're up in the middle there.
Precision arrows?
Yeah, is that it?
Okay.
I can't.
Yeah.
What are they called?
Precision arrows?
Yeah,
Shadow
precision
shot?
arrows.
Also
So
got,
they do it. They do
hardpoint
a fair bit more
arrows and
damage.
some other stuff. Corruption,
Um,
shock, freeze.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's set up some traps. Let's trap it out here.
Explosive ones are probably the best against these guys because they will not go down with a shock arrow very easily. You can do it, but basically the shock arrows are designed to incapacitate them, so you can go in for a bigger shock, a bigger stab at them. But because they're so big, they're basically impossible to hit down like that. So you're gonna lead him through all of those lines.
That's my goal. And then we'll go to from here. No. Here. Alright. And wrap that over there. So hopefully I can lead him through this little cavern, this little passageway here. I don't know if that's gonna work. I don't know if its pathing lets it go in areas this small, but we will see. I'm gonna start by knocking 2 arrows.
It's okay, alright, sees you.
Into there. And knocking off a bunch.
I would have knocked off the face cannons first.
No, those ones are the most dangerous because it shoots light lasers out of the sky.
Dude, nimbly dodged though. That was impressive.
Yes, and intentional completely. I mean,
it's coming down.
I know what I'm doing. I'm good at video games.
Good.
Getting there. We're getting there. Still probably gonna lose, but we are getting there. Oh no, missed the squishy bits.
Yeah, I love this game though. It's just so fluid. There's so much character in how Aloy moves.
Yes.
There's just like this perfect blend between, you know, how the player feels and how the character of Aloy actually is.
Yeah, it seems like they did a good job of not making her like one of those personality-less protagonists, or like integrating her personality into the way she actually acts in the game, which is surprisingly difficult, I guess.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
There we go.
Oh.
That was some damage.
There was, yeah. No, good hit there. I can never hit that thing.
Ooh, herb.
Take some herbs, get some plants. Alrighty. Can I knock anything else off? There's radio antenna.
Oh, you
there.
know why it did so much damage? There's like a hole there.
Yeah. Yeah, squishy bits. Alright, I'm gonna see if I can shoot its face off. 'Cause those laser cannons are giving me trouble. Ah, there we go. Okay.
There we go.
Woo!
Okay,
good start, good start. Oh, now it just has glowing eyes of doom. That's encouraging.
No, the glowing eyes of friendship and compassion.
Always a great sign.
Yeah, everyone knows that whenever an enemy has glowing red eyes, it's the glowing eyes of friendship.
Yes. You're out of those ammo.
Yeah, so I'm gonna switch to my hardpoint arrows over here. Shoot that tail off.
Ooh.
Nope. Only 5 damage. That's not great.
It's the red-eyed take warning eyes.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah.
I do like being able to duck below this little ridge because I keep coincidentally missing all of the. Come on, get out.
Seems like you hit them, but it doesn't quite.
There we go.
Well,
All
you're
right.
out of that.
Knocked a
Oh,
component.
there we go.
It doesn't want to run into my explosives. I don't know why it's being so rude.
So just shoot him.
So
Why
rude.
doesn't it want to run into my
It's
explosives?
almost like it doesn't quite know where you are because you shot its face off.
Oh, that's a good point.
Circumstantial at best. Oh yes, other idiots are shooting at it for me. Do my work. Whoop. Uh-oh. Don't know how I managed to dodge that one.
I have no idea how they're gonna do a second game though. Like, they're just not gonna be able to match the reveal and build up they have this game. Like the big question is pretty much solved.
Yeah, I'm aware that there is a pretty crazy twist at the end of this game, but I'm not super clear on what it actually is. So obviously it means I still have room to have the reveal happen. But...
Wait, so what's your theory? What do you know? What do you not know?
The theory too. So I'm curious about this.
Yeah, I think that Horizon Zero Dawn is a program, and based on the way that the audio logs have played out, I feel like there's something to do with these machines were created for a purpose that radically got out of hand, kind of like a Jurassic Park thing. But instead of like robots that went evil, maybe... Oh, can I? Oh, I think that was the gun I could use. Yeah. Hold on. Okay.
Spotted you.
Just gonna need a quick second to shoot it in the bits.
Oh, not my giant glowing weak point. No.
Anywhere but there. What? Okay.
So you think that they were created for some purpose and then it went wrong?
Yeah, I think that it's something to...
I figured that was cold reading though.
Ow.
To be fair, it only caught you on sight, but I would move before it gets you again.
Yeah, it seemed like it was a military thing from a couple of the audio logs that I picked up, but also, again, I'm just completely, talking out of my butt, and I don't know if anything that I'm saying actually makes sense. But,
okay.
Yeah, right.
So
go ahead.
I only know a little bit. About this game. I think I've seen a few audio logs. But yeah, I don't actually know what the ending twist is. But my theory is that Aloy's mom was involved in the creation of these robo-dinos, and either Aloy was like decanted from stasis at an early age, or there was some other shenaniganery keeping her around. I'm still not sure what they were made for, but I did remember like early on in the game, it's like, oh yeah, we KO them, and then like they collect these resources. They like process, I guess like biomass into something like useful or edible. So it's like, okay, they were clearly created for the purposes of processing something useful to humans. And the fact that they went rogue and the fact that they started attacking people, we don't know if they went rogue, doesn't actually stop the fact that they are still creating things that are useful for humans, which is why they're being hunted now.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing is that they clearly fill an ecosystem in a way that would make sense. So I'm wondering if there might be some element of like, they looked like the early robots looked at the way that the Earth's ecosystem was and kind of aped it directly in the process of their own replication. So, I don't know. Again, this is all just me kind of guessing my best.
I wish I could tell you.
Yeah.
I don't want to rob you, because the thing was that I loved the look of this game so much, and I didn't have a PS4 at the time, that I basically just went and read everything about it and found everything out, and then I got to play the game, which is gutting for me.
Yeah.
So it means that I didn't get to have the build and reveal myself.
Oh yeah.
Which sucks. But it's fantastic. There's kind of like two major plot lines. There is sort of finding out where you came from, and also where these robots kind of came from and how they came about. So, and then they happen at two different points. Like, they are related, but yeah.
I just really like how this game gave you the aesthetic of, yeah, there's robot dinosaurs and you're hunting them in like a sort of post-apocalyptic fantasy Stone Age. And of course the inherent question there is, where the fuck did those things come from? They cannot possibly be natural. But you know, everyone
it's sort of like some...
Yeah.
It's like someone at some point in the designing room, just like they were plotting ideas for the game, and they're just like, alright, how about giant robot dinosaurs in Utah? And they're like, okay, find a way to make it work.
Yep. But it's interesting because in universe, nobody's like...
What the heck? Who else? Oh.
Yeah.
Now, not a bird. Go away, I'm so close.
Yeah, in universe, nobody's like questioning where did these robo dinosaurs came from because they're too busy like trying to survive the robo dinos, and this is just how things have always been.
Oh jeez.
So it's just
no,
interesting.
I'm so dead. I'm so dead. Oh god.
Oh no!
So close.
Oh god. Me playing video games is so embarrassing. Oh jeez.
For the children, man. Think of the
It's for the kids. It's for the kids. Where are we at right now? 28,204. We're getting there, but we're not.
Clearly, you guys
quite.
don't want to see the lightning burb.
Clearly, yeah. No one wants to see the Thunderbird. Is that what it's called? I forget.
I think it's what is it?
Thunderbird is from mythology.
Oh, never mind.
Or J.K. Rowling, depending on.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe I shouldn't rant about this.
Well, not the time.
Yeah.
That can be its own separate stream, honestly.
I've seen it on the map
Oh,
once.
God.
I should be able to find it. Yeah, it's fine.
Blue, remember you can craft arrows on the fly.
Stormbird. I can craft arrows on the fly?
Apparently.
What?
Hey chat, how does one craft arrows on the fly?
Oh, I just hold the button. Wow, if I wasn't so much of a moron, I would have seen that earlier. God. Ah. Once more onto the breach, dear friends. Tim, how painful is it to watch me play this game?
This is I don't know. I'd put it on par with having my skull caved in with a hammer.
Ooh.
Okay.
Honestly, that's better than
Not
expected.
I've heard worse. I've heard worse. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No, you're actually doing pretty well because I actually I don't know what level, but you're doing pretty well for what I think is semi low level.
That's how I am often described, yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
Some people might describe you as not quite high level.
Yeah, come on. Knock it off. Yeah.
Hey! Go for the laser eyes.
How did I not die?
You moved.
Ah, yes. The optimal strategy. Oh, jeez. I was at least nominally good at Spider-Man.
I mean, you had finished Spider-Man.
I mean, yeah.
You have
It's the
not
core
finished.
difference. I set the difficulty to easy.
Why didn't you just stay behind the rock?
Because I was dodging too fast. I was not paying attention to my surroundings.
Big rock.
Okay, let's set some more traps. That will maybe help me. Ow. I was in the middle of setting that trap. Rude.
I like how when it hits a rock just vanishes. Go over the trap so it has to step on it.
Like DBZ animation properties, like you know which rock is gonna get smashed because it's sticking out just a little bit more than the other ones. Oh god.
Boop.
Ah.
Shooting over there. Surprised it hasn't sprung your trap, or it didn't, I just didn't notice. Ooh, nice. Shoot it again.
Oh, that only did 5 damage.
Rough.
That is sad. Just watch my failure in silence.
Yeah. It's kind of mesmerizing,
can't
honestly.
stop that
Sorry.
weapon.
Oh yes, hell yeah.
Everyone's
go.
like, get good.
Oh.
Red,
Oh,
good.
he's down.
You can pick up the heavy weapons, and I think you do more damage if you attack from stealth in the grass, maybe. It's a little
No, you
late for
don't.
that, actually.
I just like how all the grass in this area is red specifically so you can hide in it.
Yes.
You are a redhead, and it is redhead.
Ooh,
Could have been worse.
could have been a lot worse.
Could have been worse.
As long as I don't aggro the birds, we're gonna be okay. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's...
I see a bird.
Come on, you
so
can
I
do
would
this.
Get this done. Oh, that was good.
Good. Oh,
360.
okay, quick. You've got a couple
Good,
more shots
good,
of
good,
3
good.
in there.
Come on, you can get this. That. There we go. 315. 2 more. Roughly.
Oh no, the rock went in the way. Ah. Okay.
No!
Apparently you can craft arrows on the fly though, so you're fine. Oh.
Yes, yeah. Aloy's a very versatile individual.
I too can create high-tech arrows while running from dinosaurs. Psh, like you can't. Just like one of those skills that all women have is arrow crafting on the fly.
Cyan, as someone who speaks for all women, what can you say about the way that crafting works in this game? As someone who speaks for all women, I will say that we can all craft on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah. As someone who also speaks for all women,
There you go.
I will
Yes.
second this.
As a woman. As a woman,
Well,
all
that's
the
the
women.
full.
Yeah.
That's the full woman Congress consensus, I believe.
Pretty sure, yeah. Other
Yes!
women. Woo! Other women sound off in the
you did
comments if you can also craft arrows on the fly. Yeah, blue.
Is it actually dead, or did you just blow its head off again?
I think it's actually dead.
Hell yeah!
Fantastic.
Hey,
Wow.
nice. You
Cool.
obtained
All right.
a lot of stuff.
28,264. No,
What's with
we're
the
not.
sparkly grass?
What's with the sparkly grass? I think those are fireflies.
Can you go get the fireflies?
No,
Oh,
this
they're
is
gone
not
now.
Zelda, unfortunately.
Aww.
Oh.
Boo.
Wow, now I can... How do I crouch? Damn it. Okay, I'm trying to assert my dominance on this poor dead robot dinosaur. All right.
Oh, come on!
Wow, that wasn't hard. Whoever says this game is complicated doesn't know what
Clearly.
they're talking about. This game is so easy.
I would also
Hey.
like to add that Indigo, also as speaking for all women,
Someone who speaks for all women.
also says that if you're not double fisting carpenter's tools and also a sword, then like what are you even doing? Are you even a woman?
Yeah.
Clearly, all
So,
because we all speak for all women.
we're not at 30,000 yet, so we
Yeah,
don't
of
get
course.
lightning burn.
Yeah, no lightning
burn.
burb. Sorry,
No,
friends.
darn.
Yeah, yeah. I guess we
There's
can just
one way
continue
to
the
do
plot,
this.
maybe?
Ooh.
Yeah, we could. We can just go way the hell west, I think. Is actually, no, wait. We're
Chat,
we're
make
close
sure
where
to
we need be.
donate and make your donation say lightning burb to get us to lightning burb.
Yes, very specifically burb. If you spell it bird, we will not take it into
It doesn't
account.
count.
But if you spell it borb, we might.
Yeah, if you spell it borb, we'll like doubly notice you.
Yeah.
Clearly.
How do you... squares crouch. Okay, I'm gonna
Hey,
try to
we're learning so much
get
today.
a broadhead and ride it off into the sunset,
Yes.
even though it's already night.
You just need to ride really fast, and then you'll catch up with the sunset again.
Ooh, that's pretty. Holy heck.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's my aesthetic right
Wow.
there.
There are so many like gorgeous skylines in this game.
Yeah.
Wait, what's that next to you? What's that wreck next to you? The one on the left.
Was it car?
There was like a thing.
Is this a tank? Oh my god, this is a tank.
Was a tank.
Well, the mystery deepens.
Burb, borb, bee, burb, bee, bab, burb, burb, burb.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Survey
Kat.
says tank. Wow.
Pretty busted
I
up.
like the tree coming out
Very.
of
There's
it.
Yeah,
stuff
the
growing
tree is a
through it.
nice touch.
Yeah.
Ooh, look, herb.
That
This
plant.
game does really tap into that Ghibli
dank
post-apocalypse
youngers.
aesthetic, and
Oh,
I really dig it.
absolutely.
You eat left.
Leaf.
Ooh,
Oh, wow.
Look at that moon.
Pretty. I love that they made it like
Hell
4 times as
yeah.
big as it is in real life because it just looks cooler that way. That's one of my
Oh,
one of my
man.
design notes for the real world is the moon has to be like 5 times bigger. It's just gotta. Looks way nicer that way.
So, that reminds me obliquely. Did anyone here watch that 300 sequel that came out a while ago?
Oh, the one with the Athenians?
Yes, I saw
Yeah.
it. I saw part of it on an airplane because I was like, for my career, I need to know what this is.
Oh,
I
lucky
was
you. I watched it in theaters.
immensely
Uh-oh.
disappointed. Wow, that's way worse.
Uh-oh. Run away.
uh-oh. But yeah, I actually watched it in theaters because I was going to the theaters with a bunch of family members, and we were like, well, let's see. What's playing right now? Well, there's the 300 sequel, and everyone likes 300. And then there's some Lego movie? Ugh, whatever.
Oh no.
Yeah, yeah.
Quick
So
question.
I walked
Was the
out of that
300
movie-
sequel called 301?
No, it was 300 Rise of an Empire.
No.
Boo.
Yeah. And it
You
was
have to go
bad.
with
It was very bad.
301 or 600 or possibly 150 depending on how many people died during the 300.
Oh, all of 300 of them died in 300, except for that one guy.
That's rough. So then you call it the one. Because
Nuts. Oh, I
Yeah,
wanted
exactly. You call it one.
I wanted to write
But yeah.
that thingy.
also, to the people in the chat going, can someone look at the chat? We are looking at the chat, but we're also just streaming a game.
Yeah, man.
So, like,
There's
we
a lot
see what you're
happening here.
saying. But we only respond to some of it. We appreciate you, though.
Yeah. Anyway, I mentioned that movie because the moon is criminally enormous in it.
Oh.
There's like a nighttime scene where they're just chilling on the banks and the moon looks like it's about 50 feet away. It's redonkulous.
That's hilarious.
It's so funny. This was also the movie where, like, I was watching it with, like, a cousin of mine, and there was, like, this lady bad guy in it, and she sent this emissary, and he was like, "Our mistress will speak to you now." And I leaned over to my cousin, and I was like, "They are going to be banging in 5 minutes." And he's like, "What? No, they hate each other." Lo and behold,
Yeah.
guess who was right? Yeah.
Whoops.
That special, they're gonna be banging knowledge.
Yeah, I've got a lot of little trope senses, and that one's on high alert most of the time.
Yeah. Especially,
Here it comes.
Yeah, especially when it's what was it? Who directed that? It was a Zack Snyder movie, right?
With Snyder.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was Snyder. Classic.
The Snyder bang senses are tingling.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Okay.
Tim, have you seen anything criminally terrible recently?
As a film?
Or like a book or a television show, anything, honestly.
I don't have time for much TV. Like, Altered Carbon was the first thing that I've watched in entirety. I am so behind on all the things I want to watch, let alone the things that are terrible. The only thing I've played that was really bad was a game recently called The Suicide of Rachel Foster.
Never heard of it. I guess I can imagine why.
It's a really niche, badly designed game that's just random. So no, I'm afraid I cannot contribute to the storm of terribleness that is Red's Saturday Night. I need to watch.
Yeah.
I'm not watching Valerian. I have voted for that one 60,000 times. It never wins.
I'm sorry, I want to watch that one, but I try and, like, defer to people's judgment most of the time.
No,
Oh,
defer to Tim's judgment.
But yeah.
Have you guys seen the movie Christian Mingle on Netflix? It stars Gretchen Wiener from Mean Girls, and it's also a great drinking game movie, but not
Sorry,
good for
which
much else.
which movie?
Christian Mingle, the movie.
Oh no, no.
It stars Gretchen Wiener from Mean Girls.
She's apparently like the goddess queen
Well,
of Hallmark movies
Yeah, she's
now.
in like so many Hallmark movies.
Well, I mean, it's steady work, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But yeah, if you ever want a
Yeah.
really terrible movie to watch, only ironically, you cannot watch that movie unironically or you'll be sad. But it's
Of course not.
kind of funny.
All right, we are doing main quest
Let's
line
see.
shit right now.
I watched the last one I watched was the Maximum Ride movie,
Oh.
which was
God, I love those.
Not
I love those books, but
good.
alas, I have not seen the movie,
yeah,
and I
okay.
don't think I want
Here's
to.
the thing. Oh man, maybe you should actually.
Oh no!
Not because
No,
it's
why?
good. It's very much not. Well, here's the thing. The books were, like, interesting until they went off the rails.
Oh yeah,
because
no,
there was
totally.
nothing planned,
no,
and they kept
entirely
introducing
went
these.
off the rails.
Yeah, yeah.
was just
It's because they
funny.
kept planning these mystery elements. Yeah, but they kept planning these mystery elements without actually explaining or planning out what the mystery was. Like, what's the voice in Max's head? How did she get the use of her arm back,
Irrelevant.
or whatever? What's everyone's powers? And then they were just like, meh.
Oh my God, is this a
but
cutscene?
the
Are we
movie-
on plot?
Apparently.
What? Oh, this guy's got a thingy like you've got a thingy.
Yeah.
The glowy
That one's
thingy.
got a mask. He kind of looks like one of the Iga clan.
Oh my god, the Giga clan.
Or Reaper from Overwatch.
Oh yeah, Edgelord Supreme, the character in Overwatch with the most polygons because he's so edgy.
Oh, Indigo has a couple suggestions for really terrible movies.
Oh, go
Oh
on.
god, no.
She has The Night Before Christmas, spelled K-N-I-G-H-T.
Oh yeah, that was that Netflix trash that came out like this Christmas, I think.
And also Tammy and the T-Rex. That one you just need to watch the trailer though.
Okay.
Well,
The Night
I'll
Before
take
Christmas
those into
is about a knight
consideration.
who travels into like the modern day, and like the lady from fucking High School Musical becomes his.
Which lady?
The
Gabriella or Sharpay?
not Sharpay.
The girl who he ends
Gabriella.
up dating?
Yes.
Gabriella.
Okay, Gabriella. Whatever her name is. She's the other lead, and it's this knight, and she's just like totally fucking down with it apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, okay.
My girlfriend watched that film because she is into those trashy Netflix films about Christmas. And she liked it.
It's,
I don't like how it's zoomed in on her faces, or the fact that her name is spelled like alloy, like the metal mixture.
the one thing is,
I'm
like,
getting
as
the
far as
feeling
those
that's a
Hallmark movies
metaphor.
go, yeah, it's definitely the most inventive of weird, dumb Hallmark plot lines. So I give it credit for pure originality, even if the execution is just as jank as you'd come to expect.
How much money do they throw at these things? Like,
so much. They make bank, dude.
Might also just be laundering money. Who knows?
I thought that was mattress.
I mean,
stores.
maybe.
What the? Why is this thing on fire? I'm so confused.
Because it's made of wood, and someone
They
set
shot it with a
fire at
laser.
it,
Yes.
and wood lights on fire
Yeah.
when you light it on fire. I know, this is complex science.
You're gonna have to run that by me again.
So when you light wood on fire,
Okay.
because it is flammable,
Okay.
it lights on fire.
No, you lost me.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh god.
I'm gonna die. I'm so gonna die.
Probably. It probably won't make you rewatch the cutscene though.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it might.
It might, yeah.
Can you like hit it with a stick?
I can. I need to get really close to it though.
No, don't hit it with the stick.
Okay, I won't hit it with the stick.
That's.
Oh, Tim, if you were a D&D class in real life, what D&D class would
Oh
you
yeah, we
be?
were talking about this on our past couple streams.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what would my personality match up with?
Yes.
No, like, who are you?
Oh, or that. I don't know. Whichever
Sorry.
one you want.
Yeah, like, I mean, you could pick your
Um,
personality, but, like, if you had to be one, like, who are you?
I would probably be a sorcerer.
Okay.
Ooh,
Or,
okay.
or no, I'd probably be a wizard as opposed to a sorcerer. Because I am like I'm trying to like pick the best analogy here. I have a relatively limited skill set, and it's a lot more along the creative lines. And I probably put a lot more emphasis on my intelligence than I do on
you
my
didn't die.
wisdom or
Yeah.
charisma
That's
or
valid.
strength or constitution.
Ah.
Probably definitely over strength and constitution. And yeah, I don't know. That's probably me. And I'm not like a sorcerer because I put a lot of time into like just a few limited. I have priorities. You know, I select my spells. So
Very-
that's me. What
Makes sense.
were you guys? What'd you go with?
Oh, I'm a ranger in real life.
Yeah. In every game and in real life, Cyan has big ranger energy.
I am real life
Yep.
farsighted. I have a very confusing eyeglass prescription for people who look at me and go, "You're too young to be farsighted." I'm like, but it's true though.
Yeah. You underestimate my power.
You underestimate how weird I can be given the circumstances.
Oh my god, I got a headshot from way too far away.
Red, what are you?
Oh yeah. See, I was like, oh man, I guess I'm a bard because I like storytelling, and then the chat was just like barbarian, totally barbarian. So we've decided I've multi-classed.
Yeah.
I was
a
gonna
barbarian.
say rogue
Ooh.
for you.
Oh wait, hold on, audio's cutting out.
But I mean, you do.
Sorry,
you-
I missed that
reckon-
because
He said rogue.
I reckon you could be bard though. I reckon you
Oh.
have kind of roguishness to you, but you're very quick-witted. You're very good on your feet with your tongue. So
How about a
Thanks.
bard rogian? It's a bard mixed with a barbarian and also a rogue.
Bardrogian, the cursed triple multi-class.
The cursed triple multi-class.
you just
actually,
need to
what?
be a brogue.
rogue.
Okay,
A bar rogue.
rogue. Did anyone? Okay, if anyone watched the the Darrington Brigade Critical Role one shot, Taliesin Jaffe played a barbarian rogue multiclass who got sneak attack damage when he raged. It was the most busted like combo I've ever seen. He was called the Owlbear, and he was doing a Batman impression the whole time.
Amazing.
It was amazing. Yeah. Although he did mention that, like, I know that the farther along this gets, the more like Lego Batman it's gonna wind up being.
Oh, yeah.
And he was right. Yeah.
Oh, you
just found
side
Olin.
effect. Wow.
Yeah, I just found
you
out.
are
I don't
not
know.
far
I remember
into the
that I've
story.
talked to him once, but I don't remember anything about where this is going.
All right, there's a cult
You are-
going on.
You are definitely not halfway into the story.
Oh, am I way earlier or later?
Yeah, I mean, I would say you're coming up on maybe a third. Yeah,
Oh.
you've probably done a third.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Oh
That-
boy,
that
it's
sounds
the end of
about
Act
accurate.
1.
The eclipse.
Probably they're after the
Yeah.
eclipse.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, the Act 1, I reckon, probably ends when you find out about the Corruptors and the Eclipse and that big battle scene. Yeah.
So I'm not even done with Act 1. Cool. This game is way longer than I ever thought it was.
Oh, also for those acting in the chat, Blue's a paladin.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a huge paladin.
Just like big
I,
paladin.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
having spells, and then when I can't do that, I like being able to just, like, wail on something, and also just huge shields. I love giant shields.
Yeah, but also just kind of like the Byzantine energy that you
Yeah.
exhibit.
Oh, yes,
Which
thank
is
you.
The very paladin kind of like, I don't know, that Byzantines just kind of feel like a
Wait, Blue, are
paladin
you
civilization.
Am I Greek? I don't know. Have I only talked about it all the time? Thank you. No, I feel like that is very accurate. That mix of, like, yeah, you know, like that kind of like Deus Vult, but it's less like Crusader gross and more like, ah, yes, God will save us, and then also my giant ass shield will save us. Failing that.
Yeah.
In our,
God will destroy you, and if he does not destroy you, my fists will.
Exactly.
I'm
In our,
clearly the instrument of God's will.
in our long-running campaign, Blue's favorite move is Shield Bash.
Yeah, I basically
Hey.
min-maxed my character that the one move I always do is that I attack twice because my my powers let me, or my paladin level
Your
lets
levels,
me
yeah.
do 2 attacks, and then for bonus action I shield bash, which is a contested strength check, which I always make because my strength is 20, and then after I bash someone out of range, I am not reading this text at all. After I bash someone out of range, I get an opportunity attack on them again. So I can usually, if I roll well, get 3 attacks at once, which is so good.
That's
and then
insane.
sometimes I refuse to use my healing spells when I'd rather do damage, and then our party members die.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
It's alright, we're fine.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Basically, the premise for my character, I kind of explained this last time, but I wanted to make a character that is all the worst traits of famous Greek heroes. So,
And he succeeded.
Told me this.
and I
told me
succeeded.
this, yeah.
Yeah. So he's extremely vain, extremely narcissistic, drop dead gorgeous. That is a fault.
Yeah.
That is a flaw in his character.
Mild crush on his mother.
Well, he doesn't know his mother. See,
Yeah,
that's,
no.
so he would have a mild crush on
Wait,
his
no,
mother
that's
if
how
he
this
knew
always
about
goes.
it.
Wait, so this means that your character is just extremely wary of any woman that shows affection.
No, not at all.
Kind of-
He's already banged one school teacher.
Yeah, actually,
Right.
Oh,
met,
no.
my character met a world religions professor at one of the universities who studies the culture that my character comes from, and she was like, "Oh wow, like a real life such and such," and I was like, "Oh yes, of course. I mean, can't you tell?" And then one thing leads to another. The characters end up banging off screen, but. Among other ridiculous things that my character has done, he thinks that he is a demigod because he has no parents, and
Pointy ears.
and he has pointy ears, which all of the statues of the gods have pointy ears, kind of like elves. So since my character is a half elf, they're like, "Oh well, I was dropped on the steps of this temple to this god named Adelaus, and I don't have any parents, so." Clearly, I'm a demigod. That's how this works, right? So
Well, it's the one logical conclusion
exactly.
to come to.
The way that I
Indigo
described
would
it
like to
is
point out that while you were rolling to Mac in the classroom, you made her wait in the hallway.
that's right. I made Indigo's character way outside. But the way I described it once was, in the absence of any evidence to the contrary, I am probably a demigod.
And then he met my character, who having no idea how he was going to play this character, I built as an elf. Who provided some evidence to the contrary, because for the first time he met someone with pointy ears, and she was the worst.
Yeah. I made Constitution, as a paladin, I made Constitution my dump stat, because I was too concerned with being hot, charisma, strong, strength, and dexterous, so... my character is a complete glass cannon. My AC is like 21, sometimes 23 if I cast Shield of Faith. But the second I get hit, I'm down because I have the second lowest health in our entire party. It's a thing of beauty.
Sad.
It's a thing of beauty. I've canonically died twice.
I thought it was 3 times.
No, only
Oh no,
twice.
you died twice. You got unconscious.
Fully died twice. Went unconscious a lot of other times. The first thing that my character ever did was try to throw a spear, but I rolled a nat 1, so I fell on my face instead.
You also one time stabbed Indigo's character with a knife, I think.
Yeah, I keep accidentally rolling nat 1s and stabbing the party member closest to me, who happens to be Indigo.
Who also has pointy ears and is also not a
an elf. We're half elf bros. Let's see. What else? What else is going on here? Oh yeah, one time, since my character was being such a profound narcissistic asshole, instead of being a defender, abjuration paladin, I was just being really angry and beating everybody up. One time, I screwed up one of our stealth missions because when I heard some cultists talking about this cult that they were part of, my character stands up, shouts, "Sounds like some heretic bullshit to me," and throws a lightningy javelin into the fray to start a fight.
But I was so mad about this because my character has no charisma at all. Pretty much, she's an elf who's going through her angsty teenage phase. And she hates people, just like all people. But I rolled a nat 20 on a charisma check. So I was
deception.
No, it was. I think. It was
deception.
Okay,
yeah,
whatever.
You were lying.
Yeah, it was a deception check. I convinced them that I was like some poor small lost child, and they were about to take us like to their secret lair.
So you're playing 5e then, I take it.
Yeah, 5e.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So he pops out and he starts yelling, "Sounds like some heretic bullshit," and we moved from like a nice like they're gonna lead us to where we need to be to a melee fight, and then I think we actually dropped that quest line.
We dropped that quest line like a sack of potatoes because my character kind of fucked it. So as a consequence, my god, my patron character, basically nerfed me because I was being a bad paladin. So all of my damage was just halved. So until I got good and stopped being so much of a dick, my damage output was nerfed so that I had to play defensively and had to use my spells to help people instead of just causing more damage. So that was pretty great. Basically, the premise was, how can I take like MCU Thor playing at Disney Hercules trying to fight his like divine parents and then turn that awful character who doesn't know what he's doing and just thinks he's the hottest shit ever. How do I turn that into Uncle Iroh? Eventually I kind of got there. I had to die twice to do it, but eventually I did kind of get there. So that is that's a quick, not so quick rundown of some of the hot nonsense that we've gotten up to in our D&D party with Alcibiades, the paladin.
I love D&D.
28,550.
Oh man, we're getting there.
We're getting there, but
We're getting there. And
are
then
we
can
gonna see the electric bird by the end of the stream? That's the real question.
Like, I don't know. Just D&D is just the perfect platform. Just come with amazing stories.
Yeah.
So I'm playing a waterbender at the moment. We just sort of came up with some rules for it for this one shot. And I've already frozen the water inside some guy's lungs, which
awesome.
Good.
pretty. It was a little goblin, and one of our party members has an intelligence 4, which is roughly the equivalent intelligence of a giant weasel.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, beautiful.
Shoot it.
If you, by the way, if you hit their horns and you knock them off, it takes their health.
Ooh.
Heck.
Let's see if I can get some knockoff effects here.
First, let me just casually craft some arrows.
Just sit down in the middle of this fight to do some crafting. Tim, do you have any other favorite characters that you've played over your years of D&D?
Well, I mean, I've actually mostly been a DM. That's the thing. Is that I've done a
yes.
lot of introducing groups to D&D, and so I have to be the DM. But I've only really played probably 2 characters in the long run. I played one guy called Hobbin Rud, and he was
beautiful.
Very nice.
he was a rogue. He was a pyromaniac rogue who stole from the rich, and that's
set it on fire.
I mean, that's what I would do.
No, but he would always have little vials of oil on him, which he would use as grenades, basically.
Oh,
Good.
awesome.
Yeah. And he eventually went out trying to take down one of our players. Fought a they fought a giant demon dog, basically, and one of the players decided to skin the demon dog and use its hide as armor. So they did that, and as the DM on this game, over the progressing few adventures, that character, I had secret communications with them, where they were slowly changing their alignment a little bit secretly and gaining new abilities, which they said came from the armor, came from this thing. But slowly but surely, they ended up finding themselves at the head of a mercenary army and marching on the capital, and the players had to turn on their own party member, and they became the final boss for the campaign.
Wow.
Ooh.
That is intense.
Yeah, so that's one of the players basically just got corrupted by demon hide and this demon god that was communicating with them. It was a total party kill though. I made the guy too powerful.
No, oops.
They didn't turn on him quick enough. They were too reluctant.
Nil. I think I've talked to him before.
Still hunting bandits?
I don't know who this guy is.
Huh.
It's nil, apparently.
Nil. Oh, actually, I recognize the name Nil.
He's fine.
So what?
Rip in the chat? What's going on in the chat?
Why do we have Rip in chat?
Oh, I don't know if I want to know.
Maybe it's about the TPK?
Oh yeah, that is probably exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Alright, let's clear out this bandit camp.
I've DM'd a few times. I kind of like it, not necessarily more than playing, but it's really fun to build a world, and also it's kind of fun to watch people have to survive your world, which is personally very entertaining.
It'll take forever to dry.
We're doing, I mentioned this on the last stream, we're doing a campaign that's heavily based in Egyptian mythology, because it's based in Cleopatra's Egypt, which is a lot of fun, except for the fact that no one else looks into the mythology, so occasionally I drop these gods in and then give them a puzzle to figure out what this god wants to know, and then it's just rolling religion check after religion check to try to see what their characters would know about Egyptian mythology, but the problem is only one of them would.
Answer, usually not a lot.
Oh,
Yeah, so
no.
not a lot, so then I just get to sit there watching my 3 friends struggle over this puzzle
It's great.
well, Bast, I think she likes cats? Maybe? And we have fun.
Odd.
We have fun. Or I have fun, at least.
No, I have fun.
Okay, good.
Alright, let's see how we can stealth our way through this this evil bandit camp.
So you have 2 options, which is either stealth or kill all the
hey
bandits.
Nil. Oh, are you following me? Okay, that's fine. That's how we're doing this.
I like how it's raining. That's useful.
Headshot. Nice.
Hey,
Like
we'll
a
make
sack
a
of
ranger
potatoes.
out of you yet.
Yeah.
Also, everyone's like, Egypt during Cleopatra's time would have been heavily Greek influenced.
Yes.
Thank you. That will be, we're starting really far south and working our way north. And as we work our way north, the Greek influence will start showing itself more and more and more.
Yeah, we
They
started
just
in
haven't
Thebes.
quite gotten there yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I can
so-
tell you that, fun fact.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'll continue.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that Tolkien actually imagined Gondor as being close to looking like Egyptian kind of aesthetic.
Really?
Oh, I believe it.
What?
He wrote that as an
Dude.
offhanded comment in one of his thing, but he imagined them as kind of in terms of the scale of the things they build and kind of the imagine the headdresses, that sort of thing.
That's cool.
Nice. I just finished the 2 Towers, so
Wow.
we're gonna start Return of the King
Oh,
soon.
really?
Well, okay, I've read it all before. I'm rereading it because I don't have that much going on right now.
Don't we all?
So yeah.
Is this because of COVID, or is it just
it's partially,
Yeah.
So my job is I work in a lab, and my job has been really great in that
that's
they're
cool.
allowing us to, starting this week, work from home. But even as
just
a
take
stint-
home those dangerous chemicals?
Yeah, exactly. No, mostly I'm going to be doing research. There's a lot of topics that I can do research into and then present to the group, which will be beneficial, which is really nice. But so during the last week or so, we've been working on a limited schedule, which means I haven't really been in lab a lot. So while I've been reading papers, I've also been either audiobooking Lord of the Rings or going home and reading it. And yeah. Every time I feel bad because Blue has never read it. You've only seen the movies.
I've seen the movies. I'm overdue for reading.
So every so often I'll be like, yeah, and this happens. He'll be like, what? I'm like, okay, so in the movies this happens, but in the books that doesn't happen. Instead, this, and this happens, and then this happens, and isn't it funny? And he's like,
I think.
Yeah.
yeah. So we have fun.
Yep. Here's the problem for me. The books are hell on my attention span. I know they're really well written. I know they're good. It's just I'm sorry. If it doesn't keep my attention every 30 minutes, then I'm just gonna put it down and never pick it back up again. And
That's fair.
it's yeah.
No, I see.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Okay, I can talk about this because I am a Tolkien person, but
I'd imagine, yes.
People sort of have this weird reluctance to not criticize Tolkien.
Or reluctance to criticize Tolkien.
Sorry, reluctance to criticize Tolkien for his work of
Yeah.
saying oh, it's boring, And the thing is that if you've read sci-fi and fantasy from the 40s, 50s, 30s, it's very slow. All of it is very slow.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
saying that it's not the way that we engage with media now, and that it's not as interesting, that's not a bad thing to say.
I died.
And Tolkien wrote
yeah.
it to be slow. He wrote it in a way that was clearly
Yeah.
intended to be this slow, methodical burn story, closer to how he wanted to tell, an old ancient epic, and I don't know, the people who say, "Oh no, you can't." Of course, Tolkien's not boring. It's the most amazing thing in the world. I don't find it boring, but that's because I read it more like poetry and kind of engage with it on a different level. When a lot of people go into read this classic of fantasy literature, and they expect Game of Thrones, which is fast-paced and clicky, or at least I think it's fast-paced. Some people might disagree, but it's fast-paced to me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have read Game of Thrones, so I'm not going to disagree with you on that. I kind of always describe it as Lord of the Rings doesn't read like a novel, and if you want to just read a novel, it's not the thing you're going to want to read. It kind of reads like you're going on this long journey, and there's parts that are kind of slow, but there's still interesting stuff in there. But if you kind of get bored by flavor text and just day-to-day conversation, it might not be the story for you.
And I feel like it's a case of obviously this is a classic, and obviously it's an incredibly well-written story, but we'd be lying if we said that we didn't learn a lot about how narrative pacing works since then. Because, some of it was, Tolkien's deliberate choices, and some of it was just we've kind of developed new techniques of storytelling in the past 100 years. So, it's a little bit of both. But I think it's always important to recognize, look, if you read the Iliad, it's a fucking slog of a book, but it's still really great for reasons that become apparent after you get over the weird, wacky way in which it's paced.
Actually, that's a really good segue, because the Iliad is also very slow, and it was also murder on my attention span, which, it's despite what, 12 years of teachers would have had me believe, there's nothing I can do to improve my attention span. I've been trying my whole life.
No, that's
And
fair.
the Iliad was really, really rough. Yeah, exactly. It's just how my brain works. I've come to that conclusion after a lot of effort. But the Iliad, what I ended up doing was, chapter by chapter, write down the summary. It was honestly a way for me to get through it, because it was boring. It's here's the thing. When I say boring, I feel like that's a little reductionist. It's more like if I don't see where this is going, it's hard for me to stay invested throughout the journey. And this is just true. This is just true in everything. It's like I'd be sitting in class and my math teacher would be explaining something and I'm like, what will this let me do when I figure out how to do it?
Yeah.
And if they couldn't tell me that from the beginning, I would just be like, I'm sorry, I don't know where to put this information that you're giving me. It's just gonna fall right out of my head. So give me the end point and I'll be able to put it between me and the end point and build the way up there.
Yeah.
And the Iliad was like that. It's like I know the general beats to the story, but if I'm just sitting here listening to a list of 500 boats and I'm like, why do I need to know this?
Yeah.
Where will it be used? Just tell me where it'll be used. And it'll be like, it'll never be used. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
So, but you know, I take it a chapter at a time, and having the idea that I'm gonna write up a way to explain this to somebody else, I'm gonna write up a really sassy summary of what happens in this chapter, gives me a place to put the information that I get from this chapter. It gives me an end goal for it that isn't build up the story, establish the characters. It's like, yeah, know what's happening in this chapter so you can shit talk it at dinner later. And that gave me something to do with it. And that was a way for me to manage the fact that otherwise I could not stay concentrating on this book that I needed to be able to read for class.
I approached the Iliad very similar to how I approached Crime and Punishment when I needed to read that, which is I actually
Crime and Punishment.
Yes, yes. I was an AP Lit and AP Lang. I know those of you who kind of know me through video chat. I'm a science person, but I did an English and a history. But so I kind of what I ended up doing is I actually similarly I had trouble like figuring out where things were going if I couldn't see where it was going to go. So sorry, Blue. I would I actually read the Spark Notes and then I audiobooked it. So then when I was listening, I could be like, oh, this is where this part's gonna happen, so this is gonna happen next, and I could kind of listen for what I knew was gonna happen, while still like going
that's
through
another
it.
help.
Like, don't
gives
just
you a
read the
roadmap.
Spark Notes, but if you're having trouble
You
getting through
wish.
a book, sometimes it's good to like read it so that way you know what's gonna happen in this chapter or this like part of the book. And then like
Red actually mentioned something similar to this at one point, where she said when you're trying to engage with text, like a lot of myth stuff is written, go and read all of the Wikipedia stuff on it first, so you get it in plain English, so that you've got a context to basically fit it into. When a lot of people just throw themselves into this impossibly complex, you know, this impossible complex type of writing. So the Silmarillion, I don't know if any of you guys have
All right, let's go.
I read the Silmarillion.
Here we go.
I think I actually have it on the
the
bookshelf over there.
Yeah?
I mean, I read
What did you
it.
think of it?
Oh, I had a lot of trouble getting through the Silmarillion. It was interesting. Looking back on it and then having gone back and like read different sections of it and not so when I first started reading it, I tried to sit down and read it cover to cover, which for me at least was a mistake.
Is a terrible idea.
Yeah. But I did it because I was working at a pool, checking people in, so there wasn't much else going on. And then what I've done since then is I've gone back and read sections of it, and I've enjoyed it a lot more since. But
there you go. That's why you don't read it like a narrative. You read it like the Bible, or you read it like a poetry book. I mean, like it's written beautifully. I've got like digital version here because I have to refer to these things a million times a day. But like, you know, listen to this. Like, then befell the first sundering of the elves, for the kindred of Ingwe and the parts of lands of kindreds of Finwë and Elwë were swayed by the worlds of their lords, and were willing to depart and follow Orome. And these were known even after as the Elder by the name that Orome gave to the elves in the beginning in their own tongue. But many they refused the summons, preferring the starlight and wide spaces of Middle-earth to the rumor of the trees. I mean, it's good.
it's
beautifully written.
It's really
even
well
if it's
written.
hard.
Yeah.
But it's not a novel. It's just not.
it's not. Yeah, it's not. And I read it as a kind of like, I read it like you would the Bible, basically. You know, it's these stories which are clearly written in ways that are not intended as one narrative from start to end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the thing that I think is so important to recognize about literature, is that like different books are meant for different things, and if you treat everything the same, you're gonna have a really bad time. But as soon as you recognize, like, that guy's a rocket launcher.
Good.
As soon as you recognize that different books are meant to be read in different ways, it'll be a lot easier to
He's not dead yet.
kind of consolidate
There you go.
or
Now he's dead.
compartmentalize like how a book is supposed to be read and whether you read it in pieces or whether you want to just kind of like hit it all at once or whatever else. The more you understand what kind of book you're getting into, the better you can appreciate it as you go.
But
Oh, the fire spinner, ballin'.
It's something that doesn't actually really get discussed that often, but you need different strategies to read different things. And like, you know what? I have a personal grudge against the way this is taught in schools because obviously it was wildly ineffective for my most likely super undiagnosed ADHD for the first, 22 years of my life. Because it's like, in your brain, it's basically just like, I can absorb so much information, but you need to tell me where I should put it. And if you're just telling me, read this book so you can write this paper, and by write this paper, I mean write a paper that I, your teacher, will agree with, because otherwise I won't give you a good grade.
Yeah.
That's a whole different rant.
So basically it's like, okay, but why? What's going on? Tell me what this story means, and they don't. So it's like, okay, I have nowhere to put this information, so I won't retain it. And they're like, clearly you are doing this purposefully to insult me, your teacher, who you definitely have a vested emotional interest in making my life difficult. It's like, it's not about you, man. I'm like 6. I don't know what's going on.
No, definitely.
And there's this idea inherent in it that like, because this looks to me like you're being lazy. If you just try harder in the directions that make perfect sense for me, you'll be able to do this thing. And the reason that you're not already doing it is because you want to make my life difficult, because that's the unintended consequence of what you're doing. So the idea that reading a book... So the idea that reading a book is not as simple as just sitting down and reading the words on the page doesn't seem to click with a lot of educators, because it's like, once you can read the alphabet, and I got that really quickly because I had a place to put it. My mom was like, read that sign, and I'd be like, I can read that sign. That's the point of knowing how to do this. But if they hand you a book and you're like, okay, if I want to read this, I can read this entire thing. But if I don't want to read it, it will be tortuous for me to get through even a page. So tell me what to do with this. Tell me where I should put this information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, or like break it down or take notes on each individual page. And then you enter high school and the teachers are like, no, obviously we're going to be taking notes on these books, and I expect you to write in the margins after you've had it drilled into your head for 10 straight years that you don't do that to books. And it's like,
I still have trouble doing that. Like when Blue and I first met, he would like write in the margins of those books, and I would honestly shudder.
Because I didn't have the willpower to say, no, fuck you, I'm not going to do that to the book. It's like, all right, you asked me, I'm going to write in these books, and then it just gets drilled in.
Yeah.
One teacher told me, like, you should never read a book and not have a pen in your hand. And then that really stuck with me for better and for worse, mostly for worse.
If it's just your book, that's one thing. But don't write
but
in
it's
my
like,
books.
dude, the books are so pretty, and you don't want to fuck with them.
Well, yeah, and going through high school, so I love to read, like, just sit down and read books, and you can ask Blue, I read stupidly fast and consume...
Oh my god, science machine.
I consume written media like some people consume, like, movies and
Television.
Stuff like that. However... Even, like, I love to read, and I really enjoy it, and I had so much trouble getting through, like, high school especially, and then somewhat in college, although I studied engineering, so, like, we didn't have to do that much reading, but, like, consuming the kind of books that they gave me, because there was just, like, it's a difference between being like, oh, this is a book I want to read, I want to know what that story is, and someone saying, read this, and you're like, but I don't care.
Yeah.
And so
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
I felt like I was like breaking the rules or something by like reading the Spark Notes in advance, or like listening to an audiobook instead of reading the book cover to cover. And then I'd go into class and they'd be like, oh, what do you like about this? I'm like, oh, I really like how this character, you can kind of see how he's like kind of wants to do this but kind of doesn't. And someone would be like, I like how the color green like emphasizes this, blah, blah. And I'm like, I would feel so stupid. I'm like, oh, how did I miss the color green? Like, but different people do different things differently.
I realized in year 12, which is like
Yeah.
2 years from finishing school. But I don't know what the year that is. Form something or something.
Yeah.
But I realized
Probably 10th grade
that you
for
could
us.
pick your own book.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
And that they couldn't technically stop you.
No, they can't.
Yeah.
And so
But yeah, that's
yeah, I did that.
yeah. And that's such a difference between like I want to read this book, so I'm just going to devour it, and I have to read this book, so I'll just force myself through word by word, and it's a very different experience. And I actually remember my I guess my middle school librarian, I think, cottoned on to how my brain worked earlier than anyone, because she was like, "Now, these books are supposed to be for 5th graders and up, but you know, I'll make an exception for you." And I'd be like, "Oh wow, I'm so transgressive." Yeah, so you know, it's like the idea that, oh, this kid is like devouring this fantasy novel, which means clearly they're gonna want to read, oh, I don't know, Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah.
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 Like, boy howdy, that's not how it works. You don't just transfer your attention to something else. That's really not how it works.
So yeah, kiddos,
and yeah,
if you're in high school and trying to read books, just know you're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like a
Different books will
universal
work for
thing.
different people. You
Yeah.
know, there are some books where I'm like, I can just get into this and just feel completely like engrossed in what's happening, and there's some books where I'm like, you could not pay me enough to read
Yeah.
this.
Like,
and
I love Lord of the Rings. You love reading Machiavelli and stuff like that. And
extra
I get
short.
Yeah, and I would be bored out of my mind. That short book would take me like 4 days to read, and I can read, you know,
Yep.
2 towers in an afternoon if I'm really
And I've got the
motivated.
best of both worlds. No.
So yeah, it's
Oh yes, the Hannah
then,
Montana novelization. Excellent choice.
Because I spent like most of last week reading Nietzsche's writings,
Oh,
which
yeah,
if you've ever
God
tried to
bless
read,
you.
I watched the philosophy of Sauron. Simon and I were actually talking about that a little bit
Yeah,
this
we
morning. As someone who's
thank
had to do their share of Nietzsche, he doesn't make it easy on you. It is extremely
No.
dull and extremely plain and extremely fucking boring. I
Yeah.
talk about, you know, the difference between ancient and modern philosophy, whereas, you know, ancient philosophy, a lot of the times they actually try to tell you a little bit of a story. The reason that Plato's the best philosopher is because his books actually have characters in them who have opinions about things. Whereas, you know, when you get to Aristotle, it's like, let me tell you all of these things that I know are correct. And then it's just, you know, later philosophers latched onto the Aristotle school of doing things. So, you know, you get, you know, Descartes, Hume, Locke, and all those guys where it's like, let me just explain at you why I'm correct about the way the universe works. Whereas in Plato, the
and then
dialogues
they
are
get,
like, let me give you these
horribly wrong
characters.
sometimes.
Yeah, or in Plato, it's like these characters, even the Socrates character, who's usually like Plato's mouthpiece, is sometimes wrong, and sometimes the philosophical point of the dialogue is like predicated on here's why it's important that Socrates is wrong about this. Like the entire Republic is like, look, Socrates tears down people's opinions all the livelong day, but as soon as you ask him to come up with something, it falls apart because coming up with ideas is hard, and it's kind of a meta commentary on it. It's like, look, you know, it's easy to talk shit from a distance, but it's a lot harder to actually posit something that's completely foolproof. So anyway,
Yeah, absolutely.
Reasons I like Plato more than every other philosopher ever.
Oh, we're almost at
Like, I was-
29,000.
Ooh,
We're
nice,
at-
guys,
yeah.
you're killing it.
Guys, you got this. Thank you for
I
donating
was,
to help the kiddos. We appreciate it a lot.
And the kiddos appreciate it too. Sorry, Tim, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, interrupting your charity talk.
No, you're good.
No, you are the
Nietzsche.
priority. You as our guest.
Dude,
are
you're
what
a
comes
guest.
first.
Yeah, I just know that people pop in like in middles of streams, so I occasionally like to be like, you're appreciated. Thanks for helping the kids. But please continue, because this is also a very important conversation.
So like on the topic of philosophers getting things wrong, I was reading Nietzsche's writings, which were actually compiled after he died by his sister,
Yes,
who was
and that's where a lot of the dodgy stuff comes in. But sorry.
yeah,
go on.
but one of them like is like there was just one of the side notes that she clearly put in it, but it's like just as an excessive diet of rice leads to excessive opium use, we can now know that excessive consumption of potatoes leads to reliance on alcoholism. It's just little racially coded things.
Yeah,
like
oh my
that.
gosh, it's amazing how much like wildly racist stuff Nietzsche's sister put in there. There's a reason that you know the early Nazis in Germany really glommed onto Nietzsche's works, because not really anything that he particularly said, but the way that Nietzsche's sister coded everything and compiled everything when she went in to create all of these like compendiums of Nietzsche's own works, that like you said in your video, like Nietzsche was pretty against like anti-Semitism, but it's the way that his stuff was affected afterwards that he had no say in, because he died too early of syphilis, I think. That it all
he was
went
also kind of in an asylum for a while.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, was he? I didn't know he went into.
Yeah, I think he was in the
I didn't know he went
asylum
into
like
care.
for syphilitic insanity.
That's real rough.
Yeah.
Syphilitic, is that a thing?
Yeah,
Syphilitic
it is.
insanity?
Yeah.
Not as much anymore.
It
but back
gets into
before
your
they treated
brain
that
and then
stuff, yeah,
it does problems.
it's wild.
Wow.
Go Google syphilis to learn more. No, I'm kidding.
Don't do that.
Google images. No.
Don't do that. I'm still stuck on the fact that I both like potatoes and like wine, so I'm like, well, in this particular case.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I try to talk about when I was doing my Ireland video is like the potato famine was Britain's fault.
Actually, not to get way too dark, but I think it's important to note that specific like correlation equals causation thing about yes, this thing promotes alcoholism is still used today in America because for the longest time, as in nowadays, there's this theory that Native Americans are genetically more susceptible to alcoholism, which is just
Really?
utter horseshit. Yeah, it's total
Oh,
bullshit.
God.
It's just used to explain like, yeah, well, you see, we shoved them all onto these reservations and we made it so they can't even vote because you can't vote from a PO box and we don't give them real street addresses and we don't actually let them do anything and we keep taking their land when we figure out there's cool shit on it. And also, they always seem to be like self-medicating with alcohol, so clearly it's genetics / the will of God, depending on what century you're from.
God. I can go on a huge
drives me nuts.
rant
No, there's
about correlation versus causation that
there's
you
a
guys
whole-
don't want.
Just
But-
speaking of Native Americans, there's a whole subset of like, oh, they used to hire, Native American builders to work on like the skyscrapers in New York in the 1920s because Native Americans have no fear of heights. They're like, no, we're fucking scared, but these are the only jobs you'll give us, so this is what we have to do. So it's like there's all kinds of wild shit. Yeah, there's all those Commonwealth countries. Canada, America, not a great track record with indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
It's
No.
the colonizer thing.
New Zealand isn't as bad as some other countries, partly because the Māori actually like beat the British
Yeah.
for a long time.
Nice work.
But we do have like our own fair share of bad stuff. Like for example, so we have these things called the Māori seats, which are basically seats in Parliament that are reserved for Māori, and a lot of people go, "Oh, that's a really great thing." You've got these put aside for indigenous population. But where they came from is actually a really dark thing, which is that they had a law which is that every single landowning male could vote. But the problem is that Māori own land collectively. So suddenly the colonists found out that they were outnumbered 2 to 1, 3 to 1 by indigenous males in their own parliament. So they restricted their voting to these 6 seats out of 100 or whatever it was.
Yeah. Nuts.
Yeah. So that sort of
Oh,
stuff.
What the heck? Oh,
Um,
let's get out of there for a hot second.
Let's
Whoops.
run away.
No, I definitely get the sense that New Zealand has one of the better track records among, America, Canada, New Zealand, and Australia. I guess Britain doesn't really count. Because
Yeah,
their colonizers
Australia has a
were
bit of a
French.
problem.
Bit of a problem.
Yeah, William the Conqueror doesn't really apply here. But yeah, it still
Where are you?
makes for a bunch of. Can I loot this?
Oh, to those of
Where
who,
are you on the
who
map?
are asking
I'm
in
way
the
up
chat,
north.
Sorry. To those of whom are asking in the chat, the donation link is in the comments. If you guys hit 30,000, we will fight Lightning Burb. But we're about 1,300 or so short of Lightning Burb. So if you want to see us fight the Lightning Burb or Thunderbird, what's it called?
Stormbird.
Stormbird. If you want to see us fight Stormbird, donate and then yell Stormbird in your donation, and I will do my best to read it out loud if you donate with the word Stormbird in it. I will try. If it pops up on the chat, I will read it.
So anyway, yeah.
So yeah, sorry about that.
No, but thank you.
So have you done a lot of reading of Nietzsche?
Only as much as I needed to for class. I've read the big one that everybody reads. It's not.
Thus spoke Zarathustra.
Yeah, I think it was that one. Hold on, let me look up Nietzsche.
It'll be thus spoke that Zarathustra, the Antichrist, or the gay signs. Those are three. He's got another one, which is
I
like...
read a little bit of Zarathustra, and then it was Beyond Good and Evil. And then on the genealogy of morals. So it was Beyond Good and Evil, on the genealogy of morals, and a little hint of Zarathustra. So those are the ones that I read. Did not have a great time with him. He was the one that I liked the most out of the modern philosophers' big quotes from like Descartes. Descartes is the one that I really don't like, because Descartes, Meditations 1 and 2 are really interesting because he's like, look, we can't know for a fact that our reality around us is true. All we know is that we are here, and that's got to be enough. So when you take Meditations 1 and 2, you get a really interesting, like, the setup for the Matrix of, like, I know that my consciousness means that I am alive and that I exist, but beyond that, you just kind of got to go with it. Of course, afterwards, he's like, in book 3, I'm going to attempt to prove God in the most asinine roundabout way that you possibly could, which is just extremely frustrating to read because the amount of logical fallacies you can tally up is truly staggering. So I don't like most of Descartes. The very beginning, Meditations 1 and 2, they're good. The rest, oh god, it's so annoying. Hume is alright. Locke is mercifully a little shorter. But Nietzsche, as much as he frustrates me, I like him more than some of the other ones.
Like,
I sometimes
Locke
forget that
Locke
took
is like
philosophy
a
class.
very straightforward philosophy.
Yeah. He suffers from the kind of dullness factor, but he doesn't beat around the bush, which I appreciate.
No. He's also, although I find it amusing that we sort of imagine our societies as kind of Lockean, mostly because of the consent-based government. But the thing is that we're actually a lot more Hobbesian. Our current government structures.
I will take your word for it.
Well, so
I literally remember nothing from my philosophy class, so
same,
blocked it all
right?
out.
Tim, go into presenter
Sorry.
mode.
You guys thought you were coming for video games, you're coming for philosophy.
In today's video, we'll be discussing and contrasting Locke and Hobbes' alternate philosophies, which both arose from the English Civil War, but came to different conclusions as to the problems and therefore the solutions that they presented.
Thank you, Tim.
Basically, Hobbes said, also feel free to shut me up, this is not interesting because
No, keep going.
Locke basically said that government comes into existence because we all agree that we want to have some kind of organization, some sort of social contract. And so we all agree on what the government can do and what the government can't do, and then we give our consent, and that gives legitimacy to the government. And you think, oh, that's great, yeah, that's fantastic, except we think, oh yeah, we consent to our government through voting, that sort of thing. But the foundational thing about Locke is that because it's consent-based, you can also revoke your consent at any time, and therefore the government is dissolved, which is a lovely idealistic thing, but it's not really the reality.
Oh, certainly not.
And Hobbes, in contrast, said that governments come into existence because they basically have the ability to assert control over land and people.
Yeah.
And they only deserve to be in power so long as they can actually do those two things, that they can maintain order and that they can control people. And if a new he called it the Leviathan, if a new Leviathan takes over another Leviathan, then it takes it up into a new state, and a new state is formed. And to be honest, the realist international lens of and a realist lens of international politics would say that we're a lot more Hobbesian than we are Lockean.
Yeah.
Because we've got states in constant competition, both indirectly and directly, for asserting control over their land and power, over their land and people. And the people themselves can't really actually revoke consent. Even if you weren't consenting to your government, you couldn't dissolve them. They would not be illegitimate, really.
I think that's a good example, not only just in itself, but it neatly, and I doubt Hobbes was thinking of this, but it ties into the Chinese idea of the mandate of heaven, where it's like, you have the right to rule until you don't, and then someone else is going to bowl you over and take it. So, like, don't fuck it up.
Yeah.
Granted, an Englishman would never dare admit that they got a good idea from China, but
Well, okay.
We are only.
But let's be
1,000
real. The concept.
2,000.
Yeah, but the concept of I'm in power over you because I have some kind of, inherent worthiness that makes me. That shows up everywhere. There's like. Divine right of kings, all kinds of mandates.
It's almost like in order for people to be ruling over other people, they need to somehow convince those people that they are somehow more important.
Well, I think the reason the Divine Right of Kings I don't think quite applies is because the Divine Right of Kings is a stabilizer, where it's like, if you have this thing, you always have it. Whereas with the Leviathan, I feel like it's slightly different, where the idea of, like, power can be lost and claimed by someone else. Like, Divine Right of Kings is a lot of, like, how do you maintain dynasties? Well, it's
okay, but actually...
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's so interesting, because, actually, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, because right now, we are living through a very tumultuous period in history that is like, passing into history before our very eyes. The thing is, real events pass into history by becoming stories about what happened in those events. And we've actually been seeing the narrative about this changing day by day, actually faster than that. Sometimes what's going on in the morning is completely different than what's going on in the afternoon. We're watching... Yeah.
Yes.
We're watching the process of this passing into history, and we're seeing how quickly the story gets shuffled around for the purposes of, well, we want to make sure that we come out looking good when this passes into history, or we want to make sure that this piece of important information is preserved as it passes into history. And I want to point out how many stories of true kings are, I am the one true king because you overthrew my father and now I'm taking the throne back from you, is basically you overthrew the king, but that was bad. Yeah. I overthrew the king, but that was good. And sometimes it's you overthrew the lineage of kings like 500 years ago, but I'm from the last batch of one true kings, so it's okay when I usurp the throne because I'm taking it back. Exactly. So every system of I have inherent power and worth can and usually is shuffled around for the purposes of historical narrative, and who's the true king and who's got the right to rule is entirely a matter of narrative, because in the actual moment it doesn't really matter that much. It's all about the stories.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Indigo added, the mandate of heaven is mostly used to justify the changing of dynasties more so than giving the people power over the governments. The morality of the government could give them the right to rule, or it might give them the right to be fucking wrecked. And then she added, and I think that's beautiful.
Thank you,
yeah,
Indigo.
the mandate of heaven... The mandate of heaven shows up in the narrative when it's, this empire was replaced by this other empire because the first empire lost the mandate in this rough interval, and then we didn't have an empire with the mandate, and now this new one has the mandate, which basically means they're supposed to be the boss. So again, you retroactively apply it.
It's after the fact justification.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow, we're actually getting really close.
Are we?
We're at 28,878 by my count, so that means we're just under 1,000 away from Thunderbird! Or Stormbird. Sorry, friends.
Stormbird, that's right, that's what they're called.
One of these days I'll get the correct name, but I'm very sorry.
One of these birds is not like the other.
One of these birds just doesn't belong!
Should probably go kill it or something.
Well, we can't go kill it until we get about another $1,000.
Yeah, guys, come on, get on it.
We made this goal, we must stick to it. Heck! Boop. Oh, there's people walking outside my window every so often. You've been canceled by an
arrow to the face.
And like, I live on a really major roadway, like one of the majorest roadways in this area. So every so often someone walks by my apartment window and I'm like, ooh, there's a person. It's fun. It's actually really sunny outside, which is
really
very confusing, seeing as it is like 30 degrees. But yeah.
It has been way too hot recently. Like, it's coming to winter. It's like March, and it's still being like 26 degrees. It's shoot me.
We have the opposite problem. It's pretty much 0 degrees Celsius here right now.
Oh, weakness to fire. Oh, I can do that.
Like almost. Uh-oh. But yeah, so it's been like alternating between being like decently, like, you know, warm enough, and then back to like freezing temperatures all at once.
Oh, I've got such
have,
little
like-
ammo here, and there are no plants.
That's fair. I have a vague understanding of the Celsius to Fahrenheit conversion and back, but it's not always the best.
It's like 2.9 or 2.8.
I know how to do the math, but like, you know, that's not really useful for. I know like human body temperature, and I know like freezing of water temperature, and I just kind of estimate everything through there. But yeah,
Yes,
it's been like
freezing of water temperature, which should be 0 degrees.
Hey,
Not-
hey.
No, we're...
30 something.
We'll get
Consider
there.
0 really cold and 100 really hot, but for a human, not water.
We are
Look,
getting
it
there eventually.
Fair. I
It
work
is
in
a
science, so
0
we have
for
to
freezing,
ignore all
100 for boiling. How much more simple does it have to be?
the- Well, what if you don't have a pump
Hey.
of water hanging around and you want to know how a person feels? No, you're right. Anyway.
No, you are objectively right. We're just being stubborn Americans
But
about it.
for our non-American friends, the highest it's been around here lately has been like
16 degrees Celsius, and it's been going back. It's alternating between like 16 degrees and 0 degrees, which has been a bit of whiplash, let me tell you. And for my American friends,
okay.
it's been like
Hold on.
65 to 32.
I need to close the blinds because the light is perfectly shining in my face right now.
It's the evening now. We have one of Indigo's plants and also a little basil plant living on the window of my basement level studio apartment, so we keep the window shades open to give them the best chance of survival.
Aw.
Ugh.
Yeah. So that was there you go. Now you know what the temperature has been like.
All right,
Wow.
so
Kind of cold, but warmer than it could be, seeing as it gets down to -10 Fahrenheit, which is what we would call heckin' dang cold, or -23 degrees Celsius in this area.
By the way, how accurate or fair do you think I was to Nietzsche in my video?
Oh, I think you're pretty accurate. All things considered.
Okay, that's good.
To be fair, Blue's
Yeah.
not a Nietzsche fan.
I'm not a Nietzsche person, so like nothing that you said struck me as wrong.
Okay.
So I think you got it.
The chat thinks we should be
And
using Kelvin, and honestly, chat, you're wrong, but I kind of wish you weren't.
The interesting thing about Nietzsche though is that like he never really had like a one consistent philosophy. He wasn't like Locke or Hobbes or Descartes, who kind of, you know, had these big unifying ideas that they built their works around. He never really got to that point. So he wrote a whole lot of very varying stuff, which means that depending on your sort of opinion or framing of his work, it has a few different core ideas and philosophies, which is why a lot of, I mean, I've got some comments on the video saying, oh no, you're entirely wrong about Nietzsche. This is what he meant. And it's like, I don't think that's the case. I think it's more like he expressed ideas throughout his life that were not always consistent.
Yeah,
It's almost like humans don't work by axiomatic rules.
Yeah. I feel like the thing with Nietzsche is that is that he approaches different topics from different angles in each of his works, and since he doesn't have like one big book, he kind of always comes at it from various angles.
Absolutely.
He doesn't.
So,
Yeah, right. Go ahead. That was pretty much it.
well, I just wanted to say, if it's about a comment section, something I've learned over the course of the last several years is that a lot of the time when someone comments like, I disagree with you because of this, and you're like, oh man, I'll take this into account as a critique of my work, and I mean, it's possible, like maybe I wasn't as careful. A lot of the time what happened is they disagree with you and they're not sure why. Maybe it's just because you hurt their feelings. So they call on the first thing that comes to mind. And usually it's a very predictable thing. Like, you interpreted this wrong, or you didn't read it carefully enough. And in either case, both of those things are possible, so you consider it because you take it into account like it's an artistic, like, good faith criticism, because that's what you would do. But it's an internet comment, and they're not always like that. So sometimes you're just like, oh, this guy's got a lot of free time, or oh, I must have really upset you, and then you just leave it alone. So
We got an email
Take-
from two people who were starting a podcast, and they're like, how do you deal with negative comments? And I said, well, look, there are three different kinds of negativity that you'll find online. One is like 0 out of 10, I hate this, and then that's it, where they don't give you anything to go off. And I'm of the mind that any opinion presented without context or backed up by evidence can be dismissed without any evidence. So like, if they didn't care enough to give you a reason, you can just dismiss it outright. And then there's like, oh, if someone tries to give you, you know, an example of like, I disagree with you because of this reason, or like, I think that you're wrong because of X, Y, and Z, sometimes it's valuable, and sometimes it's like, you know what, I don't actually think that this applies right now. And then there's just like people who, you know, call on epithets and whatnot to just be all kinds of randomly mean.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, is this the first time you've come across one of these?
Yes, yes it is, and I'm so gonna die.
You only have like 1 health cube.
What are we on? 28, 963.
Okay.
Oh man, can we get...
God, I don't know if we're gonna get to see this Thunderbird.
I don't know if we're gonna get to see the Thunderbird. Well,
Friends, we are about 1,000 left to see the Stormbird, which means if you donate and it pops up on the stream, I will do my best to say your name out loud. Ready, set, go. I did this the
But
other
yeah,
day,
when it
and I
comes
was
to-
okay, but that means I have to not look at the game that's directly in front of me and instead look at the stream, which is about a minute delayed.
But yeah, when it comes to dealing with internet comments and criticism and stuff, try and like limit yourself to responding to the ones that are in good faith, and you can
Yeah.
usually tell. And you know that doesn't mean dismiss it offhand, but you know.
Thank you, John.
I tweeted about this at one point a while ago, but a lot of the time you get so much negative feedback, often in bad faith, that when you get tons of these comments over the weeks and months and years, from like a creator's perspective, the line sort of blurs that you don't quite know what is in good faith anymore. And like it's just really hard to know, like you sort of get into this position of like, am I actually doing this badly, or am I just, or is this is this just the internet being the internet,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a hard position to be in. From my perspective, I would say no, because I think you do great work, and I think a lot of people would agree. But I can definitely understand.
Unironically called you the best Kiwi multiple times.
Oh yeah.
The best Kiwi.
We'll just
There's
be
only like
sitting
6
and
of
we'll
us,
be
so
like,
it's not that
Tim
hard.
replied, best Kiwi.
It's like there's Taika Waititi and Tim, and those are like the best Kiwis.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ian.
29K. We passed 29K.
Hey, we're
Got
getting there.
29K.
All right,
Appreciate
let's
you.
hit 30.
Thank you.
Home stretch, everybody.
I like how you said Ian pronounced Ian, and I really appreciate your pronunciation guide. Thank you. Thank you, glorified fan fiction. You're the best.
Yes, I too like the Divine Comedy.
Oh man.
Thank you,
Oh,
Burb.
thank you, Sun Wukong.
Burb gave $10. Thank you, Burb.
Burb. Get those birds on the
Best.
screen.
We're trying to get to the Burbs, so keep donating Burbs to get Burbs. Thank you, Name MMO. Appreciated. I don't get it. Thank you, Sun Wukong.
Sun Wukong coming in
Sun
clutch.
Wukong is here for the children.
Hell yeah.
Uh-oh.
Thank you, Aaron Hand. Appreciate you. I hope your name.
Oh man, we're already $200 in.
Thank you, Eve.
Heck yeah.
Oh, Eve donated $100.
Oh,
Thank you, Eve.
Thank you.
Woo!
Aww.
Thank you, Daisy Bell. Aw, Daisy Bell. It's the name of a daughter of a friend of mine.
Oh,
I don't think it's the same one. She's 9 years old.
unlikely.
Thank you, Vincent.
Alright, I'm probably gonna die.
I'm sorry.
Because there's no
They're
health.
good.
And
No,
I
you're
am-
in the snowy
Isn't
wasteland.
track
There's not
record.
much help going on here. Also, Peter's still at the top donation with 2,000, which is...
Peter, someone's gonna knock Peter off that top spot.
It's great that it's no longer Link's left nut, but Link's right nut. You're still really slacking.
Yeah.
$2,000. Who was $2,000?
Peter!
Peter.
Someone named Peter. Yeah.
Oh, I can't read your
That
name.
reminds me,
Zoo?
someone
I think it was
someone
Zoo.
donated
I'm very sorry,
$2,000
but thank
online.
you. My screen
Oh.
crapped out, and the resolution wouldn't resolve in time for me to say your name. But I really appreciate your donation.
Alright, let's see if I can, Weaknesses, shock and fire. I can do that.
Yeah, I had a $2,000 donation as well from some guy during mine.
Was it
It
awesome,
was like
Peter?
some guy. No, I thought it was for a second, so I went to check, but no, it's just some guy called Max.
Max, if you're here,
Max,
we'd
now is the
appreciate
time.
it. Do 2001, Max.
Your hour has come.
Beat Peter.
Usurp Peter.
Also, everyone being like, I have a friend named Peter. I hope this is your friend named Peter, because this Peter is a good person. Thank you again, Ian.
Yeah.
Again, I appreciate your pronunciation guide. I appreciate your $2.
Woo!
If we
Oh,
Red,
we're past
what,
300.
Red, what do you say that if we get him
Oh.
up a certain amount, we not only go fight the lightning bird, but we finish the dragon rush? Do you want
I
to
think-
set a target
What
for
would
that?
be the number for the Dragon Rush? Like actual
You know,
Dragon Rush this time.
Mm.
Oh, thank you, Zach
know, that's a
Dunn
good question.
and Mini Conetree. I appreciate you both very much. And
You know what? I
Zap
feel like
Doss.
if we manage to surpass our 30,000 goal this time, we should definitely do the Dragon Rush tomorrow.
Bismarck,
another
and
time.
Someone else.
Not-
I'm really
not right now,
sorry.
but
I
yes.
missed
Another
your
time.
name.
No.
Whoever's name I just missed, I appreciate you greatly, and I'm very sorry that I missed your name. Post it in the comments, and I will do my best to say it later. Heck. Grim, thank you for your $5 donation, and Avivra, you donated $20. I appreciate you greatly. And this person looks like Magenta. Oh, thank you, Magenta.
Huh.
And this is Shaw.
don't think that can be
Shaw
my
and
Magenta.
Anonymous. Thank you, Shaw and Anonymous. Those are two different people. Thank you, Very Impressive. Thank you, Very Impressive. You made me laugh. Thank you,
Okay.
Tyler. Want a
Shooting off
burb?
bits. Shooting off bits here.
Tyler, I too want the burb. Thank you.
Ooh, we're getting there.
Thank
we're getting
you,
there.
Curiosity SMBC.
Trucking along, man.
Much
Yes!
obliged.
Got it!
Thank you,
Good
My
work.
Life Lagging.
Good work.
Hey! My Life Lagging with $20. Appreciate you. Oh, my life is lagging.
Hey, Darkest
Deathbringer.
Dimension Raven Way!
Thank you.
Oh!
The legendary
Daddy
donator!
Shrek.
The
Daddy Shrek. I
legendary-
can't believe you made me read that.
Ebony Darkness Dimension
yep.
Raven Way.
Beatrice from Much Ado Not Inferno. Hey, that's valid.
Oh, these coils look good.
and
Let me drop some.
Harold Wessel. Thank you. And yes, Ebony Dimension Darkness Raven Way just popped up on the stream.
Link's
And
Right Nut!
666.
I just saw
Appreciate
Link's
it.
Right Nut!
Link's right nut. He's back.
Link's Right Nut is back. Oh, I can't wait for this. I'm reading this off of the live stream, so as you guys see it, I announce it, which can tell you how much about the
Oh.
delay. Brooks Burb donated. Thank you, Brooks Burb. Brook Burb. And Link's
Alright.
Right Nut donated $1. I would love to see so many. If you
Hell
guys want to
yeah.
hear me say Link's Right Nut a lot of times, just donate $1 and I will keep saying.
Or donate more
You
dollars.
can donate more than $1, but if you were not going to donate at all, donate $1 and hear me say Link's Right Nut over and over again.
Did I not kill all the cultists?
I
Where
guess
are
not.
these last cultists?
You gotta go find them.
Cultists! Oh. You. You're just chilling there.
That's
Participate in the
$500.
fight.
We're getting there.
You skis.
Oh, thank you, Sherman.
There we go.
Thank you, Sherman. You're the best. Oh, and Kura Dai. I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but thank you for your $20 donation.
Man, Aloy is freezing right now. This is
Thank
not the
you.
right armor.
Is that E or EJ?
EJ. Thank you, EJ. And Joseph. Thank you, Joseph.
Yeah, what armor you even wearing?
I have no idea. I wish I could tell you.
Really nice.
Vexo. Thank you, Vexo.
Hades?
Oh,
Uh-oh.
there's gonna be a Hades. Oh boy. So
What?
everyone else is watching this off of the like not through the chat. I'm watching it on my phone. Madax Fox, thank you for your $25 donation.
I
That's
like the
very thank you.
tripwire that's just still in
And
screen right now.
there's Zoo Baji. I appreciate you a lot. Thank you. I'm sorry if you were the person I missed earlier. I appreciate you a lot.
Nice.
Peter is still the top donation with 2,000.
Peter, someone's got to beat Peter.
And Zach H donated $2. Thank you, Zach.
Past 600, we are creeping up on it.
And Elena Stormberb donated $10. She did it in all caps. Red Loves My Immortal donated $10. And also,
Allegedly.
yeah.
Oh,
No,
yeah, speaking
I
of
saw it. I
Stormberg.
saw it.
And
Speaking of bad writing,
Someone donated $10 to hear me say that.
I see that the video by Dominic came to your attention.
And
With
Yeah.
the Eye of Argon.
yeah, I watched it.
Pigsy.
Yeah, I actually saw your reply to him, and I was like, oh, I should check this out. But yeah, it was really good, very thoughtful. And it definitely helped fully change my mind because, like, I mean, I'm kind of the opinion that
Red's notes on the Ilian stream when. Sorry.
Yes. God. Yeah, but I guess I'm kind of the opinion that, like, reading something or looking at bad media is one thing. Obviously, I am a big fan of that. I think that there's a lot to be learned from stuff that just did not work.
Yeah.
But I realized yesterday while I was setting up for the stream why this was kind of leaving a sour taste in my mouth where, like, bad movie nights didn't. And it's that bad movie nights aren't really punching down. Because for that movie to get made, that's like a whole crew. That was some, visionary who was like, I know exactly what to do. This is going to be my magnum opus. And like hundreds of people in the cast and crew and editors weren't like, maybe we should do something to fix it. So, like when you have that many people involved in a project and it still comes out as a trash fire, that's something where it's like, I can just sit here and like throw peanuts from my Twitter account and be like, this is bad. But then it's like somebody's work of fanfic or, like just fantasy work published in like a fanzine in 1970. That's one kid who, and in the case of the Eye of Argon, that's one kid who then had a really, really rough life in a large part because of this. And like, listen, I'm like the last. He was 16.
16.
And he was, yeah, and he was like 17 when it was actually published live. But then it's just like, I don't think he ever made any money off of it, and everyone was like, this is so legendarily terrible, I need to make a copy of it and remove the name to anonymize it. And it's like, listen, at this point, that's not anonymizing it. You're just making sure this kid will never make any money off of this thing. And it's like, people really like minimizing the damage that kind of just like endless abuse can do to a person. Because it's like, oh, it's just people making fun of it. He wrote it when he was 16. It's like, yeah, he wrote it when he was 16 and he never escaped it. And then he passed away relatively young in 2002. And it's like, I am not, listen, I know he is too dead to be offended by anything I say, but it's not about hurting his feelings. It's about hurting my feelings. I don't want to be the kind of person who shit talks a dead guy who had a really rough life because of this thing he wrote when he was 16 and passionate and not very good yet.
Yeah, which I mean, like, I don't know if you've ever read writing from 16-year-olds or your own writing from 16.
Oh, mine
but,
was
God, we don't talk about that.
It exists on the internet and you will never find it.
Wait, it is on the internet.
Yes.
Oh God.
So is mine. It is technically out there, and I don't want anyone to find it. There's like a keyword that if someone knew the word and my name, they could find it, which would be terrible.
True for me as well, but no one will know the word because Blue doesn't know the word, and we've been dating for 4 years.
Yep. Okay, I have no idea where I'm supposed to be going. Oh, is it over there?
Also,
I can't get through there.
just a quick shout out to Nate, Link's Right Nut, Link's Third Nut, Star 5 Train, Errol, Bill, Chris, Uncloaked Steel, Sarah, and Sung Wukong, Star, and anyone who I may have missed. Thank you. We're at 29,840, which is really good. Thank you.
That's
and
awesome.
Dragons! Thank you, Dragons.
Also, this bit is a little bit finicky. I'll tell you where to go. This bit fooled me as well.
Oh.
You have to go around the outside. You see that yellow bar on the far side? Oh, you can't really see it right now.
That ladder?
Yeah. You got to go down from here. Go down from here, I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Cool.
And then pop up. Whoop. Okay. Turn around. And there should be something that you can jump up onto.
Endeavor, aka the Cooler
like
Blue.
30,000! We hit 30,000!
Yeah,
there.
thank you to Endeavor, aka the Cooler Blue, who just knocked us over the 3,000 mark with his $160 donation.
Woo!
Woo!
We appreciate you immensely, and as soon as we finish this little bit, we will go fight the.
We will fight that thunder.
This is not a little bit. This is a large bit. You probably don't want to get into this.
Okay,
If
you might
this
want to
is,
drop down and go fight the.
you might just want to leave if this is where you're going.
Ditch.
I can load a previous save.
No, just leave. Just
leave.
Oh, just
go,
leave.
go out the front door.
Yes. So
Just
thank you for
this
everyone
is
who
like-
donated. What's the number for the Dragon Rush?
Okay, cool. I died. So let's
God.
let's rewind to before I walked in here. That's the number for the Dragon Rush. Was that? Did we set that at straight 30, or do we want to make that higher?
We could do 30.
I think we set it at straight 30. We were
Alright.
like, if we reach
straight
our goal,
30.
yeah.
All right, so tune in later for the Dragon Rush, but first we're gonna go fight that Thunderbird. Thank you to everyone who donated.
Yeah, thank you guys
Jerome
so
just
much.
donated.
Oh, so
I
much.
appreciate
This
you
is
all. If I
amazing.
didn't get to your name, I'm sorry.
This is, I mean, we set the goal for the week at 5,000, and we've clearly done a lot more than that.
Yeah.
So thank you all so much for helping us do some good in these complicated times. I think
Every day when we set the goal up higher, I would always be like, oh man, I mean, like, yeah, we made a lot earlier, but you know, like, slowing down, I'm not sure we're gonna be able to make it this time. And
did the
every
door
single
close behind
time.
me? Oh, the door closed behind me. Oh no.
Oh no!
Okay, I think I got a load of save.
Oh, beans.
Just go back. Yeah, there you go. That should be good. A couple minutes ago.
Cool.
Autosave?
Yeah.
let's do it.
Let's see where that puts us.
Let's go get the storm bird.
Do you want to know where it is, or do you not know where it is?
I have seen a Stormburb on the map, so we can fast travel to close to there. I tried to fight one once, and I died, so that bodes well. And then after the Stormburb, I think it'll be time to call it, because, Tim, we've kept you on the stream for a good 3 hours. We gotta let you get on with your day at some point.
Oh, God.
No, that's all right. You know, it's, my job is just talking about nerd stuff. So basically, this is it. You know, I'm basically working already.
Fair enough. Well, we really appreciate you spending the time with us here today.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
And we're not even done, so we still got more stuff to talk about.
Because
Is
we
there
gotta
anything
go
else?
fight the bird.
Gotta go fight the burb. Is there anything else that we want to talk about but haven't yet? We talked about books, talked about Nietzsche.
Indigo was like, I can figure out where the dragons were. I'm like, don't worry. Blue was obsessed with these while we were playing through the first time. She was like, you know, that makes a lot of sense, actually.
I know where the dragons were. It's just a matter of getting there. Ooh, let's run the fuck away from this nonsense.
I'll be right back.
Okay. Oh.
It's fine. It's fine.
Just gonna Zoidberg my way through this.
Zoidberg. Hey.
Oh my goodness.
Gotta get to a fire.
But we should find an online game that we can play together,
Absolutely.
and we will organize that some. Unless you like playing Age of Empires, in which case I will get together a group with a bunch of other guys that I play with.
Ooh, what is Age of Empires cross-platform?
Like
for Mac?
I mean, it's on no.
Nah.
Ooh. I mean, it's. I'll have a look.
Okay.
By the way, Tomb Raider is everyone. Tomb Raider is free on Steam right now, so go get that if you want it.
Ooh. Wait, which Tomb Raider?
Give me a second. I'm just gonna look up the Age of Empires thing first. Age of Empires 2. Is it on Mac?
If we can crossplay Age of Empires 2, oh man.
I don't think so. I'm afraid.
Darn it.
Sorry.
Wonder about
Wait, have you got
Civ?
Age of Mythology? You said you had Age of.
About Sniff?
We're trying to find a game that we can play together because we have a
Someone
PS4.
suggested Animal Crossing.
Oh my!
No, we
ooh,
can.
That'd be good.
I've got a PS4 as well.
I was
Yeah.
watching the chat and someone suggested Animal Crossing, but I don't know if...
We do the Dragon Rush in Animal Crossing.
Explain?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't think that through. You know when you just think of a gag and then you hope that like the editor will take care of it, but this is a live video and you don't have that.
Oh god.
Indigo, help!
Oh right. Okay. So you found the Stormburb.
Stormburb is
So I
over
cheated.
there.
You know how you shoot the lasers off like sawtooths and stuff and
Yeah.
use them? So I went ages away from here, killed a Stormbird, killed a sawtooth, took their laser, walked for like 20 minutes
Oh
up
my
here, and then
God.
shot it down in 10 seconds.
Beautiful.
I don't think we got that kind of time. We're like half an hour overtime already.
Let's give it
Well,
three
we did start
good
late, though,
college
so-
tries
Oh.
on the Stormburb.
So you know how I said Indigo help? She's got us. Apparently there is a dragon villager, so you could just play Animal Crossing until that villager spawns.
Beautiful.
Indigo, I love you.
Hey.
Drago
Hey,
is the lazy
good-
alligator villager. Okay. Thank you, Indigo.
Good news. Harvey Weinstein tested positive for coronavirus.
Oh, okay, all right.
Oh.
I have heard worse news.
That
the
is
little things.
certainly news. Wow.
Okay, on the topic of Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets.
Yes! Please, Dish. I want to know everything about this movie.
go.
I've only seen the trailer.
Wait, so you haven't seen it?
No, that's the thing. I keep adding it to the list so I can, because like most of the bad movies are ones I haven't already seen. Because if I've already seen it, I already have like opinions about it.
Oh, okay, all right.
So yeah, but I saw the trailer for Valerian and I was like, oh my god, a space adventure that's not just trying to be Star Wars or Star Trek. I'm so intrigued. And then the movie came out and all I heard was, so I was like, well, okay, what's going on?
The best way to summarize it is that I absolutely want to see more stories from the world that they've given us. But I absolutely did not want to see this story.
Amazing. Okay, so it's a very encouragingly built world, but the story and characters they gave us suck butt.
It's, yeah, I mean, it's not even like particularly well-willed built. It's just interesting. It's just fascinating and different and feels fresh. And like, I don't know, its aesthetic is cool. Like, you've basically got this spaceship, massive spaceship that a million races all live inside and live in somewhat harmony and conflict, and it's cool. And humanity is spacefaring, and it's weird, and things look funny, and it's also an adventure, and it's that old-fashioned space romp type thing.
I miss those stories.
The story that they gave us was just so lackluster. There was just nothing to it.
Was that the one with like Cara Delevingne?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and the guy who played Green Goblin in the new,
Yeah.
or the older new. Yeah, that guy.
Thank you.
I feel like, here's the thing. I feel like you can get a lot of mileage out of an interesting world, even if the stories are lackluster, but you can get the most mileage out of getting your audience invested in your characters first thing.
Yes.
And I know that's hard to do, but once you do that, you can do whatever the fuck you want. You can tell any story. Your audience will stay invested unless you do something heinous. And there are so many of these like interesting premises where they introduce an ensemble cast way too fast, and I don't know or care about any of them, or like I know a little bit about them, but I don't really know how they work or how they get along. And then they immediately start. Yes, exactly. And then they immediately throw us into like this high stakes tension thing where it's like, listen, I would be invested in any situation you put these people in. I would be invested in a coffee shop AU if you got me invested in the characters first. But I don't know these people, so you know, like
this is Katana. Her sword traps the souls of the Urbex.
Yeah, it's like, well, let's see. I care.
Sorry.
I mean, what the fuck kind of line is that? I would advise not getting killed by her.
I mean, I'd
For the
advise
record,
not being killed by anyone.
the actor that says that line is the main actor in the first season of Altered Carbon.
Okay.
Is he better in Altered Carbon?
Well, hey, now we know.
I think he's fantastic.
Excellent. I'll
I mean,
take that
Suicide
as
Squad
a...
is like, you know, definitely not the fault of the actors on that one.
No.
No.
No, let's call it Will Smith. Would you say Will Smith's a bad actor?
In that movie, or just in general?
In general?
I mean, he got done pretty dirty by Lucas in the prequels, so, you know, if he gets done dirty here, it's like...
Wait, what?
Will Smith in the prequels?
Will Smith wasn't in the...
No, okay, I'm confusing everything. I'm sorry.
Are you Mandela affecting right now?
I'm Mandela affecting hard.
I really don't think he was in the prequels.
Okay, never mind.
Who do you think played Mace Windu?
Also, okay, on the topic of Will Smith, okay,
Jackson.
so first off, I want you to watch Valerian City of Thousand Planets. I vote
sorry,
for it every time, and you haven't watched it.
Ow.
I'm gonna do my best. I might make an executive decision next movie night to just do that.
But on the topic of Will Smith, do you guys know the original ending of I Am Legend, the book?
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
the one from the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
It's so much more interesting.
To be fair, I don't know
Okay,
what the
so-
movie was. I don't know
I'll
the
let
movie
you. I'll let
ending
you
either.
explain.
Right. So I Am Legend, the original story, and basically what the movie is up to a certain point is about. There's this apocalypse. It's not quite a zombie apocalypse, but it's similar. There's like this viral pandemic, and the people it infects mutate into these like fucked up kind of. I think they call them like hemocytes. They're clearly supposed to be weird mutant zombie vampire things.
Okay.
Will Smith is immune. And he is trying to figure out a cure. He is also the last living human in this. Basically, he's almost the last human on Earth. There's like a few others, but it's just him basically. And he's going a little stir crazy. And he's got a dog. The dog does not survive the movie. And And throughout the movie, he's like, he's going out dangerous missions. He's like capturing these things to try and synthesize a cure from them. And it's not going so hot. And there's like, they're kind of like these weird, they're not really mindless, but they don't talk, or they can't talk. They just kind of screech. So that you get the impression that maybe they're not that sentient, but then they start like fucking with him. They start like, he has these mannequins set up around this empty city, and they start like moving them while he's not looking, just to fuck with him and stuff like that. So they're clearly intelligent, and you're like, oh god, this is creepy. In the original ending, what it turns out is that these things are fully sentient, and they care about each other. And what part of the reason they've been like attacking him so much is because he captured one of them, and they care about her, and they want her back. They're trying to rescue her from this boogeyman figure that's been haunting them and like capturing them and doing horrible things to them and killing them in the process. So is legend.
That's not the book ending. That's the film ending, though.
No.
That's the alternate film ending, but it's not the book ending.
Really? I thought that was... Okay, wait, are there 3 endings?
Well, the book, that's closer. It's closer to the spirit of the book ending, but it is not the book ending.
Okay, all right. In that case, I know less about this than I thought. Because the alternate ending in the movie is they were like, no, it's not action-y enough. So he has like these couple other survivors he's helping out, and he ends up charging the bad guys with a grenade and exploding. And that's the one they deemed fit for cinema release. Yeah. Anyway, so the book, sorry.
Yeah, no, so in the book, it's very much in that spirit of that alternate ending where you find out that they're sentient. Basically, he is capturing these zombie vampire type things and experimenting on them, trying to find a cure and stuff like that. And eventually he meets a woman, just like in the book. And she turns out she's actually one of them. She's one of these zombies, but she's yes. And he goes, you're not actually crazy. And she's like, yeah, I'm not. But she's been infected anyway. And then she talks about how there's been this group of these sentient ones that have managed to survive and make a new society. They're trying to build a new civilization from the ashes of the old one after being infected and becoming these kind of vampiric beings. And of course, he's one of the last humans on Earth. Anyways, she ends up sort of betraying him and taking him before a court of sorts in front of this new civilization, where he is trialed for being basically a serial killer because he's been kidnapping their people and murdering them. And in the end, he ends up taking a suicide pill before he can be sentenced. But basically he's tried for being a murderer in front of this new civilization that is meant to be rising from the ashes that has after humans have been pretty much wiped out.
Yeah, I think you know what? That's super familiar. I think I had read it.
Read this book now.
And
it's a lot less
dark.
interesting than it sounds there. It's classic sci-fi. It's pretty hard to read, to be honest.
That's good. The way you described it sounds interesting, so maybe, Tim, maybe I just need to watch more of your videos.
Oh, okay. I'm still gonna die.
Yeah, probably. It's okay.
You have like 1 pixel of health left, man.
Yes.
Oh, but it went up a little bit. You're fine.
If you can ground the Stormburb, then he's a lot easier to kill.
Yeah, I'm trying to get his little wing clippies off, but that's hard.
It's not
easy.
easy.
I just got pecked into oblivion. Oh
wow,
gosh.
that was
okay.
quick.
You guys want a Thunderburb? We're at Thunderburb.
I feel like we can give it another try or two, but I'm not sure there's a way that I can beat this thing. I don't have.
Would tomorrow be Dragon Rush?
We can maybe Dragon Rush tomorrow. We might have to reevaluate and then post the update on that on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll officially announce when that's happening later, because we might. I mean, I for one have been streaming for 4 days straight. I might need a break.
Yeah.
If you don't follow OSP on Twitter, go follow OSP on Twitter. Your OSP
Yeah.
YouTube, right? Because was it Oregon State Police stole OSP?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So follow OSP YouTube on Twitter,
Yeah.
or follow the Oregon State Police. I mean,
They do good work.
they're probably pretty cool.
They're probably pretty cool. Yeah.
Uh,
But yeah, I'd say like 1 or 2 more tries, and then maybe we cap this stream because it's been going
honestly,
for a while.
We're coming up on hour 4, which is a long time to go for any stream.
I need to eat some food at some point, stuff like
geez.
that.
it's 5:30 Eastern time.
Tim's barely had breakfast.
Yeah, and Red, I'm sure you probably had breakfast, but probably nothing else.
Yeah.
God, it's so majestic. It's a shame my computer screen is so dark
It's a
that I can barely see
majestic
what's going
flip.
on.
You're on a TV.
Also, I've seen the screen that you guys are playing on, like, tiny.
I mean,
Yeah, it's not large.
it's the biggest screen in my apartment, okay? I have a tiny apartment.
It works, but it is small.
Blue actually has a larger screen at his apartment, which you're no longer kind of living at because someone else is living in your room doing kicked off college.
It's okay.
It's
People get kicked off
complicated.
campuses.
And-
It happens.
Long story short, there used to be a bigger screen, but now we're in my studio, in which this is actually the largest screen that I think I could fit in here. So.
All right, I'm clipping its wings little by little.
But yes, follow OSP YouTube on Twitter to figure out when the Dragon stream will be. And Tin, you've got a channel.
I do have a channel, Hello Future Me, but like you guys have so many subscribers that you probably got all mine anyway.
And if you don't,
No.
yeah, so you guys should go follow Hello Future Me because they're really cool. And my band.
Thank you.
You are.
Yeah, I talk about the Last Airbender, and stuff, and writing and world
Hell
building.
yeah.
That's me. There you go.
And they're cool.
For Tim's video, the challenge is how long can he go before he connects it to The Last Airbender, which is a comment that I saw on the God of War
That's-
video where it's like, speaking of Zuko's redemption arc, which, like, it was entirely germane to the point of your video, but it's still, like, it's a fun little running
No,
gag.
it's a
Some
bit of a
are so
running
great.
joke that I can't make a video
Yeah.
without mentioning Avatar. Fear though, it's sort of an illusion. I do actually make videos where I don't reference it, but it is relatively uncommon. Even it's just like a visual cue.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh.
heck.
This is where I die.
Run away, run away, run away, run.
I'm
Oh,
knocking off
one
so many
health.
of its parts, but it
Yeah,
can still
but,
mess
like,
me up.
You haven't done any actual damage. to
Alright,
it.
let's try. Because it doesn't have any weaknesses. Ow!
Well,
Oh,
I mean,
God, I
you're
got
clear-
whipped in the face.
You're clearly not one of those
Oof.
weaknesses.
Yeah, it's not weak to Aloy. Oh my gosh. Alright. As we're wrapping up, let's give it one more shot, and then we're gonna cap it at that. So anything else
Yeah,
that we want to talk about before we call it here? I feel like we've touched
You're
on a
looking
lot
at
of the
me
bases.
because I'm the only one here, but I have
Yeah,
nothing.
you're the only person in the
I
room.
have nothing to contribute ever, so.
Incorrect.
That's not true.
You have
yeah.
many things to
Come on,
contribute.
man.
Well, I can tell you all about LCMS machines and retinoids.
Please do. That's awesome.
You really don't want to know. Pretty much, I make
I mean, I
engineering.
I'm
Now
kind
I
of
work as a
curious.
chemist, and half of my job involves me like doing minor tech support so that our tech support doesn't have to tech support. Like the amount of people
Oh.
who don't know how to fix our printer is astounding. Seeing as our printer will tell you, clear jam on the left side in tray C, which is very kind of it. But yeah, I mean, I do science stuff. I always joke that, like, when I was in high school, I thought I wanted to be a chemist, and then I went to school for engineering, and then got my master's in engineering, and now I work as a chemist.
Would you say that you are a scientist?
I am a scientist.
Hey.
My official job title is associate scientist.
It's okay. I have a law degree, and law degrees are just for people, art students that aren't smart enough to do science
Oh.
or math. So
Yeah,
You know.
think one of the running jokes is that our school gives a bachelor's of arts or a bachelor's of science based on what school you're in. So if you're in the College of Arts and Science studying something like, earth science, like Green did, you get a bachelor's of arts. But if you study things like film and television, because you're in the College of Communications, you get a bachelor's of science. So we make a lot of jokes about that. I technically have my master's of science in engineering, and I use it to run samples.
Oh god, that's so aesthetic. Oh, it was so cool against the
It
moon
was
before
so
it came down to kill me
pretty.
again.
The requirements for a bachelor's of science in math or a bachelor of arts in math were like 2 CS classes I'd already taken, which is how I got my degree in BS in math.
Hey!
really,
I was making that joke for months.
degree.
Yeah, man, math degree. It was something I was just kind of, I kind of had a head start because like when I was little, my dad was like, "Hey, you're in 4th grade. Do you want to learn algebra?" And I was like, "Sure. What's algebra?" And then it just kind of went from there.
All right, just escalate.
And then yeah, and then by the time I was in high school, I took a couple classes at the university, and then when I went to the university, I already had like most of my first year filled out, so I was like, yeah, okay, why not? And I ended up actually graduating a quarter early. So, which is actually directly related because like right now there's a lot of people who are like seniors in college who thought they were going to have another like 3 months before they graduated and said goodbye to these people, and now because of all this they're like suddenly just out in the world, or stuck at home but out in the world and like shaping up to be graduating from home and stuff. And I was trying to figure out why this wasn't like hitting me so hard, and I was like, oh wait,
my god, I got talent.
woof. But I was like, wait, that's because that's what happened to me. I was done in March, and then everyone I knew was like, oh god, I'm gonna graduate in 3 months, this is crazy. And then in the meantime, my diploma just unceremoniously showed up in the mail, and I was like,
no,
Yeah.
my master's diploma, so I finished my undergrad a year early, but I knew that going into it, so that wasn't so weird. I thought I was going to finish my master's in May, and ended up having to push it to September, despite the fact that I started working in July. That was fun. But yeah, my master's degree is currently still sitting in the envelope they sent it behind the printer.
Oh, man.
In my apartment. Parents, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I swear I'll bring it home next time so you can do something with it.
All right.
They have my undergrad diploma. They're like, do you want it? I'm like, no.
Nah. So I think that takes us to the end of the stream. Tim,
Oh,
thank you
heck.
so much for being on the stream with us. This was fantastic. We appreciate your generosity of time and being so enthusiastic to jump on board with us. Even though we've done 2 collaborations, this is the first time we've actually like kind of talked in real time. So this is, or no, after your
That's
stream.
okay. That's
yeah, first time on
actually
our channel that we've talked in real
habit
time.
of mine.
But
yeah.
Thank you to everyone. who
You guys know
donated.
the Tail Foundry?
yes, we
You know,
do.
Benji?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first and second time that we talked were both on live streams with other people in recorded scenarios.
Yeah, I mean that was us with Joe Cat the other day. Like we never talked to him like live before. Like we chatted on Twitter and a little Discord and stuff, but that was the first time we'd ever actually like talked. It's weird YouTube friendships, but they're fun.
It's good
Yeah.
for social distancing.
Yes, exactly. Practice your social distancing. Stay at home.
The
call a
YouTubers
friend.
are the ones
They're
who
not
will
doing
survive
anything.
when post-apocalypse
Yeah.
arises.
The
Exactly.
YouTubers and the introverts.
Honestly, like our economic situation is only looking shinier as people are just staying in more. It's like, what are they gonna do? Watch YouTube? Oh, shit. Okay. So we appreciate your viewership in these trying times. We hope that our videos and Tim's can give you some respite from the mess that is everything that's going on outside.
That whole hot mess.
Yeah, that whole hot mess that we
Outside
call
world.
Earth.
Thank you, friends.
All right, well, thank you
But
so
thank
much.
you for donating, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you so
stay
much.
tuned. The Dragon
Yes.
Rush will commence, or will resume later next week.
And we'll
All right.
announce when that'll happen, whenever.
We'll announce it later. All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.